Hearing Harvey Gundam, he's rambling. Leo Evans frowned. Say that again. What am I supposed to look in? No, nothing. Harvey stammered weakly. I meant, big bro, you're so handsome. Looking at you makes me want to look in a mirror and weep at my own inadequacy. Leo scoffed coldly. By now, the other thugs on the ground were playing dead with remarkable dedication. Their previous arrogance completely evaporated. They were terrified that one wrong move would compel Leo to send them straight to hell. Since they were committed to their performance, Leo couldn't be bothered to deal with them. He turned his attention back to Harvey. You said this Buck guy is the second in command. So, who's number one? That, we don't know. Harvey shook his head frantically. Forget us low-level guys. Even Buck might not know the leader's true face. We only know that there's a massive power backing the leader, and... Harvey, shut your mouth. Suddenly, one of the men playing dead sprang up, unable to hold back a shout. You can't talk about what comes next. Leo followed the voice, slowly raising the pistol in his hand. Bang! The man dropped instantly, silence returning to the room. It's fine, continue, Leo said to Harvey, his tone indifferent. I want to see if any other dogs feel like barking. Harvey's mouth twitched, terror flooding his eyes. This guy was a bona fide demon, killing a man without even blinking? Who in Bedlam had this kind of aura? How many bodies did he have to stack to achieve this level of nonchalance? Harvey swallowed hard and continued. Also, our leader has a plan. He intends to lead us in a rebellion. Rebellion? Leo raised an eyebrow. Exactly. Rebellion. Harvey looked left and right before lowering his voice. After all, the people here live in fear that the military district will send forces to purge us one day. Instead of sitting around waiting to die, we might as well go down swinging. Plus, our leader promised us there's an 80% chance we can wipe out the military base. Hearing Harvey's words, Leo sucked in a cold breath. Wipe out the military base? That was ambitious. This Bedlam leader had some serious delusions of grandeur. TSK. Shame he ran into me, Leo sighed internally. It was just bad luck for the leader that Leo Evans had decided to come looking for trouble in Bedlam today. Rebellion? I'll dismantle your little town before you can even organize a protest march. Let's go. Take me to see this Buck. Leo decided to meet this Buck first, see if he could extract more useful intel. If he could get concrete information, he'd have leverage to bargain with his grandfather. Ha ha ha. This is critical intelligence regarding the safety of the military district. You want it? Then send me to the frontier. You won't let me go? Then I know nothing. I saw nothing. Go figure it out yourself. Leo was certain that with a bit of pestering, his trip to the frontier was practically in the bag. Of course, this only worked because the general was his grandfather, George Evans. If it were anyone else, you won't let me go? Is it because you're arrogant, or because you think my cat can't carry a C4 charge into your office? Of course, Ava was the exception to all his rules. Big bro, how should I address you? Harvey led Leo toward Buck's location, his posture submissive. Leo glanced at him. Is calling me big bro not enough? Harvey immediately bowed and scraped. Right, my bad. In a place like this, asking for names is taboo. Big bro, turn left ahead. That's where Buck lives. He probably knows you're coming by now. Along the way, many eyes turned toward Leo, but no one made a move. Clearly, the order had been given to let Leo and Harvey pass. Buck was obviously waiting to meet him. Interesting. Leo grew more curious about what kind of person this Buck was. Big bro, we're here. Harvey led Leo to a small villa. Just as he was about to usher Leo inside, two men at the door blocked their path. Buck said he only wants to see him. Alone. Harvey, you wait here. Harvey froze, looking at Leo. Big bro. It's fine. Wait here, Leo said, his expression unchanged. I'll go meet this Buck of yours. He stepped forward alone. The two guards stepped aside to let him pass. Leo pushed the door open slowly, walked into the villa, and entered the living room. On the central sofa sat a man with slicked-back hair and sunglasses, holding a glass of red wine. He was looking at Leo with keen interest. You're Buck. Correct. I am Buck. Buck smiled slightly, then added, close the door. We need a whisper. Leo frowned, but didn't move. Seeing this, Buck sighed helplessly. Relax, I'm not your enemy. Closing the door is just a precaution. Our conversation can't be overheard. Leo still didn't move. Buck clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction. He placed his wine glass on the table, stood up, walked around Leo, and slammed the door shut himself, locking it. Sterling was right. You really are a handful. Buck scratched his head, looking distressed. Sterling, hearing that name, Leo whipped his head around. Are you? That's right, exactly what you're thinking. Buck returned to the sofa, picked up his wine again, crossed his legs on the table, and said lazily, I'm the mole Sterling planted in Bedlam. Well, not technically planted. I volunteered, because it seemed fun. I was having a great time here, but a while ago he contacted me, saying you might show up. Didn't think you actually would. Buck took a sip of wine, sizing Leo up. I really couldn't tell. The guy who turned NYC upside down turns out to be such a harmless-looking pretty boy. Bang! Before Buck could finish, a gunshot rang out. The bullet grazed his scalp. Leo held the smoking pistol, his gaze calm. Did Sterling not tell you I hate it when people call me a pretty boy? Buck was frozen in terror, terrified to move a muscle. Dude, I just said we're on the same side. You shoot over one wrong sentence? Did you grow up eating gunpowder? Talk about a short fuse. A moment later, Buck recovered, smiling awkwardly as he put down the glass. Don't get excited, don't get excited. Let's talk this out. Internally, he was cursing 18 generations of Sterling's ancestors. Damn you, Sterling. You said the kid was a bit of a handful. This is a bit. This is a nightmare. Leo sat down slowly, staring at Buck. Who are you, really? I told you I'm Buck. As for my profession, Buck blinked and grinned. I'm a con man. A professional con man. I'm a con man. Buck's admission reminded Leo of someone. Shane Quill. Technically, that guy wasn't much different from con man, but he wasn't as honest as the Buck sitting in front of him. Buck openly admitted his trade. Shane Quill, on the other hand, hid behind the title of fortune teller to scam people, owed a mountain of debt, offended half the city, and spent his life hiding in holes. Look at Buck. Same profession, but the lifestyle. Plush bathrobe, crystal wine glass, legs crossed on the table. The difference was night and day. Leo couldn't help but feel sorry for Shane. Same job, different fate. So, Sterling told you I was coming. Then what? Leo sat on the sofa, watching Buck. What else did he say? Buck shrugged. He didn't say anything else. Just told me to play it by ear. So, I need to know, what exactly are you doing here? Buck looked exasperated. I was having a blast here. I worked my way up to second in command. If that other guy hadn't suddenly shown up, I'd be the boss by now. I was planning something exciting, get him killed, and take the top spot. Then you show up out of nowhere, looking to wipe out my base of operations. How am I supposed to play now? Leo remained silent, his quiet intensity somewhat terrifying. Honestly, he was a bit unsure how to proceed. He had planned to wipe out this criminal syndicate, purge the evil, and bring peace. But now, the second in command was Sterling's undercover agent plotting a coup, and the military probably didn't even know. Leo really wanted to ask, is everyone from North Point mentally ill? Does everyone just run their own side quests? And why are you all so good at it? How long have you been undercover here? Leo asked. How long? Buck sneered. Who do you think I am? I came here a year ago. It only took me 6 months to become number 2. Leo's mouth twitched. Just purely by scamming. Watch your phrasing. That's called strategy, okay? Strategy. But you literally just said you're a con man. Is that a contradiction? Okay. Leo had no rebuttal, but his curiosity piqued again. I heard from Harvey that your so-called leader is mysterious. Even you don't know his true face. True or false? Buck took a sip of red wine and nodded slowly. That was true. Before. Not long ago, I figured out his real identity. Who is it? A minor spy from the archipelago, named Shiro Kiri. Buck picked up an apple from the table, took a bite, and chewed as he spoke. He's the older brother of the frontier assassin Chizuru Kiri. He's been hiding in this country for 13 years. Buck casually recited Shiro Kiri's entire dossier. Leo frowned slightly. How do you know all this so clearly? Well, Buck looked smug. Because Shiro Kiri told me himself. Huh. Leo let out a confused noise. Buck's words were making less and less sense. Buck's lips curled up slightly. That's not the point. Don't worry about it. The key to the problem now is you. Buck pointed at Leo, raising an eyebrow. Want to work together? Using brute force to wipe out Bedlam is boring. If we team up, play some infernal affairs, and trick Shiro Kiri to death. Isn't that way more interesting than just blowing the place up? Hearing this, Leo froze for a second, then his eyes lit up. Right? Just using violence was so dull. Strategy was his strong suit. And killing Shiro Kiri. That had to count as a major military merit, right? With that kind of credit, if General Evans still didn't let him go to the frontier, it would be unreasonable. I'm in. Leo decided instantly. Awesome. Buck nodded appreciatively. But soon Leo hesitated. But what about my identity? What if I get recognized? With the ruckus he caused today, plenty of people in Bedlam knew of his existence. And he was somewhat famous outside. Buck pondered for a moment. How many people saw your face? Not many. Mostly just a side profile. Then it's fine. Leave it to me. Buck waved his hand grandly. I heard from Sterling you know how to disguise yourself, right? Just change your face a bit. As long as you aren't recognized as Leo Evans at a glance, we're good. The rest I'll handle. I'll send everyone who saw your real face out on missions immediately. Leo looked doubtful. Will that really work? If Shiro Kiri could hide in this country for 13 years, he couldn't be an idiot. It seemed like it would have holes. Relax. Buck smiled mysteriously. I told you, I'm a con man. A professional. Half an hour later, Buck and Leo walked out of the villa. Leo had changed his appearance. He still looked like a pretty boy, but if you looked closely, his features were vastly different from the original Leo Evans. Big bro, Boss Buck. Harvey saw them emerge and greeted them hurriedly. Suddenly, his gaze fixed on Leo's face, hesitating. Weird. Did Big Bro look like this just now? The two guards also looked at Leo with confusion. They sensed something was off. At that moment, Buck spoke up. What are you staring at? Hurry up and greet your Brother Nine. From today on, Brother Nine here is the third in command of Bedlam. Understood? Harvey, though confused internally, honestly stepped forward and shouted, Brother Nine. Brother Nine. Leo nodded calmly, without speaking. Buck chimed in at the perfect moment. The big bro you saw before was wearing a disguise. This is his true face. From now on, he's one of us. I expect you to treat him with the same respect you show me. Got it? Harvey nodded frantically. He knew it. This dragon crossing the river had secured the number 3 spot immediately. From now on, not only did he have Buck's protection, but he also had the backing of Brother Nine. Who in Bedlam would dare touch him? Thinking of this, Harvey clenched his fist in excitement. Buck nodded with satisfaction. Fooling these small fry was easy. The real challenge was how to deceive Shiro Kiri. Half an hour later, inside Buck's villa, Leo and Buck sat opposite each other. Buck leisurely swirled the red wine in his glass, looking the picture of relaxation. Leo leaned back on the sofa, legs crossed, yawning. Want a glass? Hard to get this vintage in North Point. Buck offered, shaking the glass. Leo glanced at it indifferently. No interest. Drinking wine was only fun at home with Ava, especially seeing Ava's flushed face after a few drinks. That was interesting. Drinking with Buck? Looking at the hairy legs crossed on the table, Leo shook his head decisively. Pass. He was losing his appetite. Buck didn't mind the rejection. He smiled and said, Don't be nervous. When Shiro comes back later, just follow my lead. Leave everything to me. When it comes to lying, I'm a pro. And those people who saw your real face earlier, I've already dealt with them. Leo lifted his eyelids slightly. I'm not nervous. Just bored. If you can't fool him later, it doesn't matter. I'll just kill him and blow this place up. Problem solved. Hearing Leo's violent contingency plan, Buck's mouth twitched. He quickly said, Don't do that. Where's the fun in that? I've been undercover here for so long. If you blow it up the moment you arrive, didn't I play for nothing? We met here by fate. Give me some face. Don't blow it up. Buck advised earnestly. Leo raised an eyebrow. We've known each other less than an hour, and you want me to give you face? You haven't even proven you work for Sterling yet. How do I know you aren't scamming me? After all, you said it yourself. You're a con man. A professional. Leo's words left Buck speechless. This kid really was difficult. By the way, what's the deal with that Harvey guy? Leo changed the subject. He said he hadn't committed any crimes and only stayed in Bedlam because you vouched for him? Oh, him. Buck nodded. He was telling the truth. He's from Viridian. His family ran a small faction there. Later, it seems they offended someone, and his whole family was killed. Only he escaped, making his way all the way to North Point. I thought he was funny, knew how to suck up, and had some street smarts, so I took him under my wing. Viridian? Hearing the familiar name, a look of reminiscence appeared in Leo's eyes. He hadn't expected the grinning guy calling him Big Bro to have such a past. Who did he offend? To the point of having his whole family wiped out. I recall the name was Jasper. Jasper Kane or something. Anyway, Viridian is a chaotic mess. His situation is pretty standard for that place. Buck waved his hand, standing up. Though he seems obsessed with going back to Viridian. No idea what he wants to do there. You care about that guy? Do you know him? Leo shook his head, speaking calmly. No, just asking. He just felt that Harvey's face looked somewhat familiar, like he'd seen it somewhere before. But for the moment, he couldn't place it. Whatever, probably an illusion. With so many people in the world, lookalikes were normal. Buck looked at Leo, muttering weirdo under his breath, then glanced out the window. The corner of his mouth lifted. Yo, the main event is here. Hearing this, Leo followed his gaze. A figure in black clothes, wearing a mask, was slowly walking toward the villa. Everyone who saw him straightened up, looking at him with respect. That's Shiro Kiri. Yep, that's Shiro. Buck lowered his voice. He should know about you by now. Remember to play along later. Play along how? Figured out. Buck grinned. Time to test our chemistry. Leo rolled his eyes. Chemistry with you? I only have chemistry with my Ava. Creak. The door was pushed open, and Shirokiri walked in slowly. Buck immediately dropped his playful demeanor, his face becoming serious and rigid. Leader, you're back. Leo secretly admired the performance. If nothing else, that speed of changing faces showed this guy had skills. Even his aura changed. Shiro stood still, looking at Buck, then turned his head to look at Leo. Explain. Shiro was wearing a mask, his voice raspy, obviously disguised. He had no idea the two guys in front of him had already stripped his background bare. Still pretending. Leader, this is Leo 9. Buck pointed at Leo. He's an old friend of mine. Used to mix in the Viridian circles. He came to join me. Strength goes without saying. He can take 20 guys easily, and his background is absolutely clean. I vouch for him. Bedlam needs people right now. A talent like 9 would be a huge asset. After listening to Buck, Shiro stared intently at Leo. Leo 9. He scoffed coldly. You gave a number 3 spot to someone of such dubious origin. Leader, he's not dubious. Buck stepped forward and whispered, you might not know, but in Viridian his reputation isn't small. You know the Umbra, right? That assassin organization in Viridian. 9 used to work there. In the Umbra Zodiac, he ranked 9th. His original code name was Ram 9. After leaving the Umbra, he changed his name to Leo 9. After saying this, he glanced secretly at Leo and continued in a voice only he and Shiro could hear. Don't let his pretty boy looks fool you. It's exactly that harmless appearance that makes people drop their guard, ending up dead by his hand. That's why he earned the title Ram in the Umbra. Looks like a little white sheep, actually a big bad wolf. Buck spoke with such conviction that if Leo didn't know the truth, he would have believed it himself. This guy could spin a yarn. And just based on this, Leo didn't dare underestimate Buck. This guy had stayed in North Point, yet was so familiar with the Umbra and Viridian. Even Leo didn't know the specifics of the Umbra Zodiac, despite it being his mother-in-law Julia Reed's organization. Sure enough, hearing Buck's words, Shiro looked at Leo again, the suspicion in his eyes fading slightly. Shirokiri stared sharply at Leo. Is what Buck said true? Leo glanced at Buck, then said indifferently, does the word of a man with dubious origins count? Shiro paused, then laughed. Interesting. He walked over to the sofa and sat down, looking at the red wine on the table, then at Buck. You really know how to enjoy life, don't you? Even I can't bear to drink this wine. Buck grinned. I was afraid it would expire if I kept it too long. Shiro didn't say much more. He was lenient with Buck. Enjoyment was good. It meant you had desires. In these times, desire was more trustworthy than love. If Buck had no wants or needs, Shiro wouldn't dare use him. Sit, both of you. Don't be so stiff. Shiro's voice softened a bit. He looked at Leo. Since you're old Buck's friend, you're my friend too. Come, let's have a drink. Shiro took an empty glass, filled it with red wine for Leo, and handed it over. But Leo stood still, not reaching for it. Sorry, I don't drink, Leo said flatly. Drinking leads to mistakes. Shiro froze. After a moment of silence, he laughed. Assassins, right? Always have some quirks. No problem. Old Buck, you drink it. Shiro handed the full glass to Buck. Buck froze. Drinking a full glass like that? He'd be feeling sick for a while. What? You won't give me face either. Shiro's voice remained gentle, but Buck knew he was starting to get annoyed. Buck took the glass, but didn't drink. He placed it on the table. Leader, the wine can wait. There's something more urgent I need to report. What is it? Military matters. Hearing military, Shiro's eyes grew grave. Seeing this, Buck continued, our recent activities seem to have been noticed by the military. Knowing the military, they'll likely send someone to investigate us. And this person won't be ordinary. We need to be prepared. Shiro didn't look surprised. I expected this. We're so close to the military zone, it's impossible for them not to notice. But rest assured, as long as it isn't someone from the Frontier blacklist, nothing will happen. Buck hesitated. What if? What if it is someone from a blacklist? It won't be, Shiro stated with certainty. Currently, only Major Griffin is in the district. He's returning to the Frontier soon and can't step away. As he spoke, Shiro suddenly turned to Leo. Leo 9, what's your take on this? Since you're the number 3 here now, you need to participate in these discussions. Hearing this, Leo secretly scoffed. What take can I have? You want me to discuss how to deal with the cops? I just got here. I can't offer any advice, Leo said slowly. Besides, I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. He turned to Buck. Before I came, you didn't tell me you guys were being targeted by the military. Buck looked awkward. I didn't have time. You can still back out now, Shiro interrupted suddenly. You're old Buck's friend, so I won't make it hard for you. If you're scared, walk out that door right now. I'll pretend you were never here. Bedlam is easy to enter, hard to leave. Think carefully. This might be your only chance to get out. Hearing this, Leo turned and walked away without a word. Shiro was surprised. He was leaving that decisively. Hey. Seeing this, Buck rushed forward anxiously and grabbed Leo's arm. Old Nine, what are you doing? I just announced you as the number 3. You turn around and leave now? Where does that leave my reputation? Buck slapped his own cheek for emphasis. I'm begging you stay, okay? I guarantee you'll live like a king here. Way more comfortable than rotting in that damn Umbra in Viridian. Leo's arm was held by Buck, but he didn't struggle. Instead, he turned back with an annoyed expression. But you didn't say you were targeted by the military before. I came here looking for a sanctuary, but you guys can't even protect yourselves. Says who? Buck straightened his face. It's just a military base. Our leader has plenty of ways to deal with them. Right, leader? Shiro crossed his arms, staying silent. Leader? Leo pointed at Shiro, laughing. You trust a guy like him? A leader who never shows his true face. When he sells you out, you'll be thanking him while counting the cash. He hides all day. Who knows what his identity is? For all we know, he's working for the military. If that's true, you're all screwed. Hearing this, Buck sucked in a cold breath internally. This kid's acting skills. Damn, he's got something. Turning the tables and accusing Shiro of being a military mole? That's a unique angle. Shiro, hearing this, couldn't help but speak up. You suspect I'm a military mole? It was like hearing the world's funniest joke. Him, a spy from the archipelago, lurking in this country for 13 years. Today, accused of being a military spy? 13 years undercover, and suddenly I'm a cop. 9. You can't just say things like that. Buck scolded. The leader has his reasons for not showing his face. But I can guarantee, the leader is absolutely not a military mole. What? Leo questioned. What makes you think he isn't? Buck said anxiously, because our goal is to destroy the military base. He stopped halfway, acting as if he had slipped up. He quickly covered his mouth. Oops. Leader, in my panic, I said it. Buck looked full of self-blame. Under the mask, Shiro's face was grim. Buck, that idiot, actually blurted that out, and Leo heard it. Now, dealing with Leo 9 would be even harder. Regardless, Leo 9 absolutely could not leave now. If he left, it would be as a corpse carried out. Meanwhile, Leo feigned a look of shock. What did you just say? You guys want to destroy the military base? Are you crazy? That's the military district. With just these few people, how could you possibly do that? Leo's eyes widened as he panted. You let me go. I'm not wading into this mess. With that, he turned to leave again. Stop, Shiro called out to Leo. You could have left just now, but now, you can't. He stood up and slowly walked in front of Leo. Either join or... D. Leo looked at Shiro, who was inches away, and swallowed hard. What do I do? He's so close. I really want to kill him. Leo was itching to make a move. Forget Shiro Kiri. If Gareth Granger got this close to him without defenses, he'd die 100 times over. Buck saw the look in Leo's eyes and mentally screamed bad idea. This kid couldn't control himself. No discipline at all. So troublesome. Buck cursed internally, then quickly ran between them. Leader, Old 9, let's both calm down for a second. Buck grinned, playing the mediator. He turned to Leo. Old 9, since you came to find me, you must trust me. Since I let it slip anyway, I'll be straight with you. Our plan really is to destroy the military base. But relax. We absolutely won't do it until we're 100% sure. Look at you. You're already here. Why not stay and try it out? Seeing Leo remain unmoved, Buck took a deep breath. How about this, Old 9? Step outside for a bit. I'll talk to the leader alone. Just 5 minutes. How about it? Just give me some face. Leo looked at Buck and scoffed. 5 minutes. With that, he walked out of the house, standing alone in the yard, waiting for Buck and Shiro to confer. Once Leo was gone, Shiro scoffed coldly. This man cannot stay. He knows our business, and we aren't sure if his identity is clean. Buck said, Leader, let's not be so hasty. I actually have an idea. What idea? I'll go talk to him in a bit. I can probably persuade him to stay. Buck raised an eyebrow. After a while, the military will send someone to investigate, right? When that happens, we push Leo 9 out front. Let him handle it. If there's a problem with his identity, he'll definitely be exposed during that process. If his identity is clean, then after handling the matter, he'll definitely be targeted by the military. After all, on the surface, he's our number 3. By then, won't he be a grasshopper tied to the same string as us? After hearing this, Shiro pondered for a moment, then slowly nodded. It was indeed a perfect solution. It tested this Leo 9 and simultaneously solved the trouble of the military investigator. Fine, do as you say. Shiro nodded. I have business outside for the next few days. Keep an eye on the town for me. You have full authority over the Leo 9 matter. Report any situation to me immediately. I trust you. Buck nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, leader. I'll guard the town well. I won't disappoint your trust. He didn't ask what Shiro was doing, but he could guess. Either looking for other spies to help or going to Gareth Granger for cooperation. Shiro didn't have any other urgent business right now. All right, I'm leaving. Watch this Leo 9 yourself. Shiro stood up, looking at Leo's figure through the window. Actually, during the process just now, he had dispelled a lot of his suspicion regarding Leo's identity. His concern was merely a matter of stance. If he could pit Leo 9 against the military and keep him in bedlam, he would be very pleased. An assassin from the Umbra should be very good at fighting, right? Shiro thought to himself. His brother Chizuru was also an assassin, famous on the frontier. This gave him a unique sentiment toward the profession. Shiro pushed the door open, exchanged a glance with Leo, and passed him by. Leo looked confused. At that moment, Buck waved at Leo, signaling him to come in. Leo hesitated, then stepped back into the villa. Shiro looked back at the closed door, waved his hand casually, and a one-eyed man walked up. After I leave, keep an eye on Buck and this Leo 9. Report to me immediately if anything happens. Yes, leader. The one-eyed man nodded solemnly. Then, Shiro got in his car and left. Inside the villa, Buck returned to his previous slouching demeanor, looking at the full glass of red wine on the table with a disdainful smile. With that little brain, he wants to force me to drink? If I really got annoyed, I'd pickle his corpse in wine and drink that. Leo rolled his eyes at the comment. That is a disgusting fetish. Just kidding. I'm not that perverted. Buck grinned. Your acting just now was really good. See? Told you we had chemistry. Cut the crap. Leo said irritably. What did you talk to him about? I just told him that when the military sends someone, I'll send you to deal with them. Hearing this, Leo immediately understood. Whether I have a problem or not, use me first. If I'm useful, keep me. If not, dispose of me. You guys really have no good people here, huh? Leo shook his head with a smile. If it were anyone else, this might actually be trouble. But who was he? Grandson of military commander George Evans. A certificato. It was just putting on another show for his own family. By the way, Shiro probably want to find Gareth Granger. Buck asked, I don't know Gareth. In your opinion, if they really meet, will they cooperate? Leo raised an eyebrow, thought for a moment, and said, probably. TSK now, that's interesting. An excited expression appeared on Buck's face. Then I won't rush to kill Shiro. Wait for Gareth to come, and we'll get them together. No. That's not fun enough. We should set a trap for Gareth, then frame Shiro for it. Yes. That's way more fun. I need to plan this carefully. Buck muttered to himself, completely ignoring Leo's presence. Leo felt this guy definitely had some mental issues. If there's nothing else, I'm heading back. Leo estimated the time. His grandpa and mom were probably going crazy looking for him outside. If they actually came here looking, it would be troublesome. Oh, right. Adrian seemed to be waiting outside for him. Wait. My Inferno burrito is going to get cold. I have urgent business. Leaving first. Call you later. Leo finished speaking and left directly. Meanwhile, Adrian sat alone on a bench by the street, staring blankly at the burrito in his hand. Is Leo eating this or not? It's really getting cold. On a certain street in North Point, George Evans sat in the car, unable to figure out how two living, breathing people could just slip away right under his nose. One of them being his own grandson. Carol Evans sat beside him, looking calm. Dad, we haven't found a clue after searching for so long, which means that kid is up to something. Since we can't find him, let's go back and rest. Maybe he'll pop up in a bit. Carol yawned. She really wanted to go back to sleep. Leo was just lost. What could happen? Worst case scenario, the kid blows up North Point and everyone goes down together. But Carol knew her son wasn't that reckless. What are you saying? George said indignantly. Your own son is missing, and you want to go back to sleep? What if something happened to Leo? Dad, Carol interrupted helplessly. Did you forget that even Major Griffin isn't his match? With his strength, what could happen to him in North Point? Carol's retort left George speechless. Lieutenant Sarge Sue and Private Cloud sat in the front row, not daring to say a word. But they had witnessed the fight between Leo and Griffin with their own eyes. Internally, they no longer dared to treat Leo as a normal person. Leo Evans, where on earth are you? Sarge Sue thought as he drove. Looking at this situation, if the young master doesn't show up, us brothers are going to have to keep searching forever. He wanted to rest too. George sighed. I'm getting old. Can't even find my own grandson. Carol's mouth twitched. You're sighing about that at your age? Sighing, Carol pulled out her phone, attempting to call Leo. Still no answer. TSK, this kid's skin is itching. Won't even answer his mother's call. Carol frowned. Although she was too lazy to micromanage Leo, her son ignoring her call stoked her anger. Fine, I can't handle you, is that it? Carol gritted her teeth, sliding her finger across the screen. If I can't handle you, I'll call your wife and snitch. See if you don't get a beating. That's right, Carol called Ava Reed in NYC directly. Hearing this, George immediately leaned his head over, whispering carefully, "Is this my granddaughter-in-law?" Carol nodded. A moment later, Ava answered the phone. "Hello, Auntie." Since getting the marriage license with Leo, Ava still wasn't used to changing her address to Mom. Unlike Leo, whose face was thick enough to deflect bullets, she wanted to wait until the formal wedding to change it. "Ava, dear, how are things over in NYC?" Carol asked with a smile. George pricked up his ears, listening to the conversation. It was clear he really wanted to talk to this granddaughter-in-law he hadn't met yet. Soon, Ava spoke. "Things are okay here. Although the factions are restless, they haven't been bold enough to make a move on us yet. That's good. It's really hard on you. I'll scold that brat Leo later for leaving you alone in NYC." Ava laughed. "It's okay, Andy. I wouldn't be much help to him in North Point anyway. Besides, Ethan Sia and Lucia Shang are here keeping me company." After chatting for a few sentences, a sharp glint appeared in Carol's eyes. She pretended to say casually, "By the way, Ava, can you reach Leo right now?" "Now, is something wrong with him?" "Nothing. It's just that he's disappeared in North Point. We can't find him anywhere." Carol sighed. "This child won't answer calls. Although I'm not worried about anything happening to him. This isn't the first or second time. Ava, remember to talk to him later. Tell him not to be so willful. He's a married man now. If you can't reach him either, Ava, then forget it. If he dares not to answer even your call, then really no one can handle him." On the other end of the line, the clever Ava had already picked up on Carol's meaning. Leo was playing missing and not answering calls. "Ava, you need to manage your husband." "Annie, don't worry. I'll call Leo right now. Are you sure you can reach him? He won't ignore your call too, will he?" "He won't. If he dares not to answer my call, he's dead." "Good. Then Ava, help me contact him. Tell him to call me back. Stop making people worry." "Okay, Annie, wait a moment. I'll find him now." With that, Ava hung up. Carol slowly put down the phone, the corner of her mouth lifting slightly. "Brat, thought your old lady didn't have ways to handle you? Didn't look at who gave birth to you." Seeing Carol put down the phone, George blinked. "Hung up." "Yep, hung up." Carol gave George a reassuring look. "It's fine. Within 3 minutes, Leo will definitely call me. We just have to wait." "No, I mean..." George looked eager. "I haven't spoken to my granddaughter-in-law yet." Carol froze. She hadn't thought of that. "Then I'll call back." "No, no, no. Shh." Next time, George waved his hand quickly, but his eyes still held some regret. He had spent most of his life in North Point, missing out on Leo's growth and missing out on a lot of family time. Thinking of this, looking out the car window, George's mind was filled with thoughts. Could he really retire and go enjoy life? Meanwhile, outside Bedlam, Leo and Adrian stood straight, staring at each other with solemn expressions. The atmosphere solidified for a moment. "Leo, I'll say it again." Adrian spoke slowly. "The burrito was like this when it was delivered." "Bullshit." Leo cursed angrily. "Swallow the burrito in your mouth before you say that. You didn't come out for so long. Was I supposed to watch it get cold? But that's my burrito. I paid for the delivery. I don't care. When we get back, you have to compensate me with 2 orders. Adrian clicked his tongue, nodding reluctantly. He couldn't help it. He did eat Leo's burrito and got caught red-handed, mostly because the burrito was actually pretty good and he unknowingly ate more than half of it. "You were in there for so long, what happened?" Adrian asked. "Talk about it later." Leo clapped his hands. Just then, the phone in his pocket rang. "Wife is calling. Wife is calling." Leo raised an eyebrow, took out his phone, and sure enough, it was Ava. Only calls from Ava had this special ringtone. Ignoring Adrian's disdainful look, Leo pressed answer. "What's up, Ava? Why the sudden call?" Leo teased. "Miss me too much?" On the other end, Ava took a deep breath, then enunciated every word. "Now, Evans, I don't care where you are. Call Annie back right now." Hearing Ava's tone, Leo's heart jumped. He checked his phone. Sure enough, it was a missed call from Carol Evans. "Mom, you don't play fair. Snitching to my wife?" I was busy with something, so I didn't notice the phone ringing," Leo explained weakly. "It's all Adrian's fault. He insisted on dragging me around everywhere." Adrian, hearing Leo's shameless deflection, Adrian pointed a finger at his own nose in disbelief. Me? Dragging you around? Do you Evans people just slander others for free? Stop making excuses. Do you think I don't know you? Ava huffed. Call Annie back immediately. Honestly, I'm busy enough over here. You're giving me more work. Wait until we get home. See if I don't sort you out. Leo hung his head, looking thoroughly chastised. He had no choice. Once, he made Ava angry and almost couldn't go home. If Reggie hadn't secretly opened the door for him, he might have had to take an overnight train to crash with Ethan Sia. Got it. I'll call my mom right now. Getting Leo's guarantee, Ava hung up quickly. NYC was indeed busy. Leo sighed, then returned the call to Carol. Meanwhile, inside the car, Carol saw the caller ID and smiled. Ava was efficient. Look, isn't he calling? Carol waved the phone in front of George, then answered. Hello, son? Mom, that move was ruthless. Child, what are you saying? I don't understand. I was wrong, okay? Next time I will definitely answer your call. Carol smiled, nodding with satisfaction. So, where are you right now? Just as well. I have things to discuss with you. Is Grandpa there too? I'm here. George spoke up. Leo, you can't run off like that next time. Grandpa had a hard time finding you. It's okay, Grandpa. You'll get used to it. Leo comforted. George, get used to it? Can you get used to this kind of thing? Logically, shouldn't a normal person look remorseful and apologize to their grandfather for worrying him? How come with my grandson, the style changes completely? What the hell is get used to it? That's it. Adrian and I are taking a taxi back to the hotel. See you in a bit. Leo finished speaking and hung up immediately, then quickly sent a message to Ava. Report to wife. Return call mission accomplished. I have engaged in profound self-reflection and criticism to ensure this will not happen again. Soon, Ava replied with one word. Scram. Roger that. Replying meant it was fine. If Ava was truly angry, she wouldn't reply to his messages at all. As for the word scram, Leo treated it as invisible. Before marriage, it was punching and kicking. After marriage, just the occasional scolding. It was already a huge improvement. Leo put away his phone and looked up, meeting Adrian's disdainful gaze. What are you looking at? Never seen a handsome guy. Adrian nodded seriously. Never seen a handsome guy this afraid of his wife. What do you know? Leo cursed irritably. You single dog without a partner. How could you understand the hardships of us married people? Adrian scoffed. Even if he had a partner, he would absolutely never be like Leo. Let's go. Taxi to the hotel. Leo waved his hand. We have to go back and discuss big matters. Adrian's eyes held a hint of curiosity. He really wanted to know what happened inside while Leo was gone for so long. Anyway, it definitely wasn't normal, because there was no explosion. Once Leo and Adrian left, Buck remained alone in the villa. He took a phone out of safe and dialed a number. After a long time, the call connected. Buck spoke first. Hey, that guy came to my place. Anything else? TSK. Sterling, don't you have anything to say? Buck complained. I'm calling out of the goodness of my heart to tell you an earth-shattering plan. And this is your attitude? Say it if you have something. I'm Busse. Sterling's voice remained calm. Busy with what? What could be more important than my business here? In the courtyard, Sterling sighed, looking at the go board in front of him, and placated the person on the phone. Then tell me about your earth-shattering plan. Opposite him, Julian Reed looked grave, holding a white stone, hesitating to place it. Buck's voice rang out. I'm telling you, I plan to team up with Leo to screw over Gareth Granger, then frame Shiro Kiri for it. How's this plan? Then Gareth will definitely seek revenge on Shiro. Let them kill each other. This plan is simply perfect. Hearing this, Sterling smiled and shook his head. You really daring to scheme against anyone? Of course. A mere Gareth Granger, I wouldn't. I meant Leo. Sterling interrupted him. You even dare to scheme against Leo? Don't come crying to me when it blows up in your face. Buck's voice stopped abruptly. After a while, he laughed awkwardly. What do you mean? How could I scheme against Leo? Didn't you plan it from the start? Sterling said casually. You can't make Gareth suffer on your own, let alone frame him. So you set your sights on Leo, using him to complete your plan. But there's a problem. If things go south, how do you, the undercover agent, escape? To save yourself, you'd have to divert Gareth and Shiro's attention to someone else. Leo is the best candidate. Rather than saying Leo is your partner, it's more accurate to say he's the shield you found. If I guess correctly, you probably didn't even tell him your real name. Louis. Hearing this name, Buck fell silent for a long time before saying, What real name? I'm Buck now. Who is Louis? I don't know him. Besides, how can this be called scheming? Leo can handle things better than me. Of course he has to take the heat. Buck chuckled. Anyway, if you disagree, I'll tell Leo the plan is scrapped. No big deal. Sterling said simply. I told you, I won't interfere with what you do. I just advise you one thing. Don't underestimate Leo. Hanging up. With that, Sterling ended the call. After Sterling hung up, Julian quickly placed a stone on the board and asked, Who was that? A con man, Sterling said calmly. A con man who once deceived all of North Point, forcing him to live anonymously in the end, not even daring to use his real name. Deceived all of North Point? Julian raised an eyebrow. Details. Sterling shook his head. I promised him. Unless he's willing, no one will know about it. Oh, is there a hidden story? Of course. Otherwise, who would lie out of boredom? Sterling picked up a black stone and placed it calmly on the board. If a person lies, it must be to cover something up. Think about it. To cover something up, he went so far as to deceive the entire city. How big must that thing be? Hearing this, Julian narrowed his eyes, remaining silent. So you helped him? I suppose. So he works for me. You helped quite a few people. Julian listed them off. Conrad Caldwell, Shane Quill, Horace Kane. Now, this Louis guy pops out. Sterling smiled slightly. I have some connections in North Point. I don't believe you helped so many people out of pure kindness. Julian stared into Sterling's eyes. The more people you help, the bigger your scheme. Scheme. Hearing this word, Sterling laughed self-deprecatingly. What scheme is there? Just plotting for a bit of stability, that's all. With that, he looked at Julian's move, paused, and said, This game. Call a draw. Julian frowned, looking at the board, seemingly wanting to see a chance for victory. But regrettably, he knew if they continued, it would only be a draw. Another game, Julian said. Sterling looked at Julian and shook his head. Young man, being competitive is good, but some things don't have to be fought to a clear win or loss. Sometimes, a draw is more important than winning. Hearing this, Julian moved his gaze back to the board. A draw is more important than winning? Take a good look. Sterling stood up, speaking meaningfully. All my schemes and the things you want to know are in this game. With that, he turned and walked into the house. Silas, is the fish braised yet? I want braised. Silas wanted to cry, but had no tears. He, a legendary firearms master, had now been reduced to a cook. But he had no choice. Both Julian and Sterling were his creditors. Shane Quill, stop dawdling. Hurry up and chop the vegetables for me. Silas roared viciously. I can't provoke those two masters, but can I provoke you, you smelly blind man? Shane wailed. You people have no heart. Making a blind man chop vegetables. What if I cut my hand? I'm going to report you to the Disability Protection Association for abusing the disabled. Stop blabbing. You can guess the chess pieces in Julian's hand. Who treats you like a blind man? Silas continued to roar. Stop stalling. Hurry up and finish chopping, then scrape the fish scales. Faster. Inside the house, it was noisy. Outside, Julian was devoted to studying the chess game. All along, he wanted to see through Sterling, but couldn't. Now this game was the opportunity. Sterling had hidden his everything in this game. At this moment, even if the sky fell, it couldn't stop Julian from studying this board. Inside the hotel, Leo, George, and the others sat staring at each other. Sarge Sue and Private Cloud guarded the door, allowing no one to enter. You went to Bedlam? George's eyes widened. What did you go there for? It's so dangerous. Dad, the one you should worry about isn't Leo, right? Carol interrupted helplessly. True. George remembered that Leo's strength was above Griffin's. The ones to worry about should be the people in Bedlam, right? So what did you do in Bedlam? Carol asked calmly. Something unexpected must have happened, right? Otherwise, Bedlam couldn't be safe and sound right now. Tisk, listen to you. Leo pouted. Like if nothing unexpected happens, Bedlam would be blown up by me. Did you not have that thought? Carol asked back. Leo blinked, momentarily unable to refute. After all, he had gone there aiming to blow it up. All right, back to business. Carol said seriously. Explain your experience after entering Bedlam, word for word. Like an interrogation, Leo complained internally, then honestly explained everything that happened, including the matter of Buck. Buck, is there such a person in Bedlam? Carol asked. There is. George nodded. The military has a file on this guy. He appeared in Bedlam about a year ago. Didn't expect him to be Sterling's man. George's eyes were grave. This matter was no small thing. Even Bedlam had Sterling's people. What about the military? The frontier? How many of Sterling's people were there? So, you reach a cooperation with that guy called Buck. On the surface, yes. Leo nodded. On the surface? Carol and George exchanged a glance, not understanding Leo's meaning. Just agreeing to cooperate with him superficially, Leo said matter-of-factly. As for the rest, we'll see when the time comes. He said himself, He's a professional con man. How can I trust his words? Carol frowned. Since you don't trust him, why agree? I was bored anyway. Might as well play along. Carol was speechless. She looked at George. Now you know what your grandson is like, right? George also felt a headache coming on. Such a big matter called playing along because I'm bored. The matter you spoke of, we have to go back and hold an emergency meeting to discuss. George said seriously. It concerns the safety of the military district. We must take it seriously. During this time, you stay put in the hotel. No running around. Hear me? Carol smiled gently. It's fine. If he runs, someone will call him back. She was naturally referring to Ava. Leo heard the meaning in Carol's words and sighed helplessly. Better be well-behaved recently. As for you, George looked at Adrian, hesitating. Did you really hack our surveillance? Adrian spread his hands. No, I don't do that kind of thing. Unless you produce evidence, it's slander. George's mouth twitched. If they had evidence, would they be chatting here? He'd be handcuffed and taken away already. Commander Evans, without evidence, you can't just arrest people randomly, Adrian said softly. Say, I hacked your surveillance? Show the proof. I'll go with you right then and there. Absolutely no resistance. Hearing this, the corner of George's mouth twitched. Where'd he get evidence? The moment he learned the surveillance was hacked, he mobilized the military's technical personnel, trying to regain control. But to his surprise, the entire technical team, out in full force, couldn't snatch the surveillance back. They simply couldn't win. When Commander Hayes learned of this, the first thing he said wasn't to arrest Adrian. It was, such talent must be recruited into the military. If you can't beat them, recruit them. That was Hayes' logic. Thinking of this, George couldn't help but ask, Adrian, have you considered developing your career in the military? No. Adrian shook his head decisively. Don't be in such a rush to refuse. The conditions we offer are very good, and you're Leo's friend. I refuse. Adrian's attitude remained firm. The military can't give me what I want. This statement choked off George's words. This was tricky. The military surveillance absolutely could not be controlled by others. But Adrian was Leo's friend, and George didn't want to use forceful means. Forget it. I'll take this back and let Hayes report on it. George decided to throw this headache to Commander Hayes. He couldn't be bothered. All right, you two stay put in the hotel. If there's anything, we'll notify you tomorrow. George finished speaking and left with Carol and the others. Before leaving, Carol specifically instructed Leo. No, it should be said she threatened him. Cause any more trouble for me, and wait for your wife to sort you out. That's what Carol said. Leo's expression was one of disdain. What? You guys don't really think I, Leo Evans, am afraid of my wife? I just think it's getting late and time to rest. With Ava's tiny arms and legs, could she sort me out? My status in the family is very high, okay? Adrian, sleep. Leo waved his hand, preparing to go to his room. The suite had 3 bedrooms, enough for the 2 of them. Wait. Leo stopped suddenly, whipping his head around to look at Adrian returning to his room. Adrian, my Inferno burrito. Ordered. It's on the way. Open the door and get it yourself later. Adrian said helplessly, slamming his door shut bang. He really wanted to rest. He didn't have Leo's physical constitution. These past 2 days had exhausted him. Hearing the burrito was on the way, Leo didn't bother going back to his room. He stayed in the living room playing games, waiting for his delivery. Fisk, haven't been home in so long. Kinda miss it. Leo suddenly wanted to go back to his home in Ethelberg and take a look. System, got a teleportation skill? Hook me up. No. Trash system. Leo cursed the system as usual, then suddenly saw on his friends list. Dylan Miller was online. Chloe Meng was also online. Sweet duo queuing? Who could tolerate this? Leo joined forcefully, determined to be a shining third wheel. Holy crap, Leo, aren't you in North Point? How do you have time to play games? Seeing Leo enter, Dylan immediately turned on his mic. Why? Is there a rule you can't play games in North Point? Leo scoffed. As for you two, I'm out here fighting for my life, and you two are sweet duo queuing every day. Impossible. We only had free time today. Wanting to check your match history? Okay, I was wrong. Soon, Dylan perked up again. Quick, haven't ranked up with you in ages. Let me see if your Aatrox still has the style of the past. All right, I'll show you a thing or two today. The corner of Leo's mouth lifted slightly as he insta-locked Aatrox. 15 minutes later, looking at the exploding crystal, the silence of the 3 was deafening. Now, playing after so long, is this your level now? Dylan complained. A3, 0 rating. How did you manage that? Why do you care so much about the rating system? Leo said solemnly. It alienates people's efforts. Do you understand alienation versus concretization? For example, Leo Evans single-handedly turned the tide in Viridian, saving the people from fire and water. In the final settlement, it was Sterling's plan. Sterling got MVP. And because I did too many meaningless things and caused destruction everywhere, I became the carried dog. Can you calculate it like that? I ask you, can you calculate it like that? Leo got more excited as he spoke, continuing to chatter endlessly. I ask you, did I uphold justice? Did I crush Jasper Kane's conspiracy? Did I fish out those grandsons from the NYC coalition? Was that old fox Calencroft pulled into the game by me? Without everything I did, what is Sterling? Dylan and Chloe's ears buzzed with Leo's voice, hurting their heads. All right, Leo. No one said you were carried. Dylan couldn't take it anymore and said directly, let's play until here today. We're logging off. Log off my ass. Wait a minute, Leo suddenly asked. You're in Ethelberg right now, right? Yeah. I took over my uncle's barbecue shop, watching the store for him. When you have time, go to my house and check if my stupid cat is still alive. Leo remembered that stupid cat, Captain Crunch, had been left at home for months. He and Ava hadn't gone back. With that cat's appetite, it had probably finished the cat food ages ago. I think the chances are slim. Dylan's mouth twitched. Couldn't you couple find a place to board it before going out? How was I supposed to know I'd be out this long? Before, going to Viridian never took more than a month. Leo said casually, but it's very self-reliant. It should figure out a way to find food. Just check on it for me on your way. Dylan's face was full of black lines. How does a cat rely on itself to live this long? Buying groceries and cooking at home? Dylan didn't dare to imagine. If he went to Leo's house and saw a little white cat tossing a walk in the kitchen, what kind of feeling would that be? That picture was too beautiful. He simply didn't dare look. So, when are you coming back to Ethelberg? Hard to say. Might have to play here for another 2 days. All right, come back later then. It's rare for Ethelberg to be peaceful for a while. Leo's eye twitched. What does that mean? Just then, the doorbell rang. The delivery should be here. All right, my Inferno burrito is here. Logging off. Seeing Leo log off, Dylan, who said he wasn't playing anymore, immediately pulled Chloe into another sweet duo queue. While Leo sat in the hotel eating his burrito in a hidden corner of North Point, Shiro Kiri, wearing his mask, slowly walked toward a dilapidated building. Looking at the silent, ruined structure before him, Shiro took a deep breath as if facing a great enemy. Only he knew what a terrifying individual lived inside. Wait for me here, Shiro instructed, then slowly stepped onto the withered grass on the ground, accompanied by rustling sounds, and entered. Creak. The door wasn't locked. It opened with a light push. Shiro quickly scanned up, down, left, and right. No danger found. Just as he wanted to breathe a sigh of relief, a voice suddenly rang out. Come to the second floor. As the voice sounded, the hair on Shiro's body stood on end. But having come this far, turning back was impossible. He swallowed his saliva and slowly climbed the stairs to the second floor. By a dim window, a figure stood in the moonlight, making his face unclear to Shiro. But he knew clearly that the figure before him was the man currently causing a storm in North Point. Gareth Granger. Take off the mask, Gareth said calmly, looking at Shiro. I don't like collaborating with people who hide. Hearing this, Shiro froze for a moment, then raised his hand to remove the mask, revealing his true face. You're the Archipelago's spy? Gareth sneered. You look quite like a local. No wonder you could lurk here. Mr. Granger, Shiro said in a low voice. I came to seek cooperation. I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't have actively exposed myself to let your people find me. How did you know it was my people looking for you? Gareth smiled disdainfully. Right now in North Point, mainly 2 groups are looking for me. Either the military or you spies. If the military found me, they would have opened fire without a word. Hearing this, Shiro instantly thought higher of Gareth. It seemed this guy wasn't just a brute with powerful martial arts, as he had assumed. Mr. Granger, I came to cooperate with sincerity. Shiro's gaze burned. You help us destroy the military base, and we help you find the whereabouts of the North Point horde. How about it? Currently, all of North Point is under military jurisdiction, and they are irreconcilable enemies with you. Without removing the threat of the military, all your actions in North Point will be hindered. Shiro slowly raised his hands, looking at the surrounding environment. Just like now, you can only hide in a place like this, let alone look for the North Point horde. Hearing Shiro's words, Gareth remained silent, just quietly watching him. Shiro was right. With the military present, all his actions in North Point were obstructed. If it were just the military, he wouldn't care. With his strength, the military wasn't a huge threat. What he feared was Sterling and that gang from East Side Ridge. The battle at East Side Ridge made Gareth truly realize how difficult that group was. The god-tier strategist Sterling, the firearms master Silas, and that poison user Horace Kane. Until now, he couldn't even recall Horace's face. But Horace's poison was definitely the main reason for his crushing defeat at East Side Ridge. And these few were just the tip of the iceberg of East Side Ridge. Compared to the open and above-board military, Gareth feared Sterling's gang of sinister schemers more. This was why he agreed to see Shiro. One log cannot prop up a tottering building. After a long time, Gareth spoke. To cooperate, I need to see if you have the qualifications. Even if I want to take a boat, I have to choose a good one, right? Gareth's eyes were dark. Otherwise, if the boat capsizes, I'm the one who suffers. He wanted to see Shiro's strength first. If they couldn't accomplish a single thing, why cooperate? To use them as thugs? Shiro frowned and asked, what do you want? Simple. Don't you want to eliminate the military? Gareth smiled slightly. As long as you can kill any one of the 3 military commanders within 3 days, I will cooperate with you. Kill a commander level. Shiro's pupils shrank. He quickly said, the 3 military commanders are extremely important figures. If we really kill one, the consequences would be unimaginable. So what? Gareth said dissatisfiedly. You keep saying you want to destroy the military base, but now I just ask you to kill a commander, and you chicken out? Behaving like this, you have the nerve to discuss cooperation? Hearing this, Shiro gritted his teeth, clenching his fists. This was tricky. If he didn't agree, Gareth definitely wouldn't cooperate. Then destroying the military base would be indefinitely postponed. But if he agreed, that was a commander. The entire military district only had 3. If anyone died, all of North Point would face the military's wrath. Shiro found it hard to choose for a moment. Gareth saw Shiro struggle and said, I give you 3 days to consider. 3 days later, tell me your decision. As long as you can kill one of the commanders, I will believe in your strength and cooperate. Otherwise, it's all empty talk. Hearing this, Shiro took a deep breath. Fine. 3 days later, I will give you an answer. With that, he turned downstairs and slowly left. He indeed needed time to consider, and he also worried about Gareth going back on his word. What if he really killed a commander and Gareth didn't cooperate? Then Shiro would die without a burial place. If we really do this, I have to find him. Shiro thought of someone. The spy from the U.S., Marcus. There had been speculation before that Marcus's real identity was likely one of the 3 military commanders. If he really is, then things will be much easier. But that bastard is hard to deal with. Shiro remembered Marcus's stubborn attitude at the previous meeting. Getting him to help might require paying a price. But before that, he had to contact other spies lurking in North Point. Pull in as many as possible. Only 3 days. Must hurry. Walking out of Gareth's residence, Shiro put on his mask again, sat in the car, and spoke slowly to the front. Go to East Side Ridge. Meanwhile, inside the military district, George Evans, Commander Hayes, and others were discussing intensely in a small room because of Leo. Exploring the possibility of Leo going undercover in Bedlam. I never expected the leader of Bedlam to be a spy from the Kiri faction, Commander Hayes sighed, shaking his head. I was originally planning to assign Leo Evans to investigate Bedlam, but before I could even issue the order, this happens. Hayes was momentarily at a loss for words. Should he praise Leo for his efficiency? The mission hadn't even been assigned yet, and the kid had already completely mapped out the situation in Bedlam. He was simply too useful. Hayes was even considering officially recruiting Leo into the military base. Plus, there was that hacker. These were assets, and what the base lacked most right now was talent. The most elite combat forces from all the major military bases were currently stationed at the frontier, leaving very few capable operatives behind. And if we have Leo, Hayes's eyes brightened. That upcoming Grand War Games. Wouldn't first place be in the bag? Hayes suddenly adopted a righteous tone. George, your grandson ventured deep into a danger zone like Bedlam just to gather intelligence for us. That spirit is admirable. Furthermore, the intel he brought back concerns the safety of the entire base. It's equivalent to saving us from a disaster. As the commander of North Point Base, I can't just sit back and do nothing. Hayes scanned the room and spoke decisively. I have decided, as a gesture of gratitude, to make an exception. Leo Evans will be officially inducted as a staff member of our base and granted the rank of captain. As soon as the words left his mouth, several people in the room spat out their water. Carol Evans looked at Commander Hayes in disbelief. Are you crazy? Letting my son officially join the military and giving him a captain's rank? Making him equal to me? That was secondary. The main issue was if Leo actually became a captain, what would the base turn into under his leadership? And sending him to Bedlam, risking his life? Wasn't this nonsense? Old Hayes, isn't this decision a bit impulsive? General George Evans stammered. This doesn't follow protocol. I'm at this age. What's wrong with being impulsive for once? Hayes waved his hand dismissively. Besides, rules are dead, people are alive. In North Point Base, I'm the biggest, and what I say goes. It's settled. Get Leo's appointment letter done tonight, and send it to him tomorrow. No, wait, Carol started, wanting to persuade Hayes otherwise. As Leo's mother, she knew deeply that this was absolutely not a good decision. But seeing Hayes's determined look, Carol sighed. Forget it, whatever happens, happens. You guys asked for it. Wait until Leo turns this base upside down. Then you'll know what excitement really means. Hayes chuckled inwardly. This is a sure thing. With Leo here, won't we blind those old geezers of the Grand War Games? When North Point Base crushes everyone to take first place, I can retire peacefully with one last glorious mark on my record. Simply perfect. The reason he promoted Leo directly to captain was that only captain-ranked officers were eligible to participate in the Grand War Games, and the top 10 in the games would earn the qualification to lead their squads to the frontier. Yes, qualification. The frontier wasn't a place just anyone could go. Without strength, going there was just throwing your life away. Seeing that the matter was settled, George Evans said helplessly. Then regarding Bedlam, fully cooperate with Leo. Hayes laughed heartily. He's your grandson. I trust him. If it were anyone else, no matter how strong or useful, Hayes wouldn't dare do this. But since it was George's grandson, just get it done. Also, we've been tracking Gareth Granger's movements recently, Hayes added. You know Garrett's strength? If our base really wants to take him down, the price will be immense. We don't know what Sterling is doing over there. There's been no news at all. We can't rely entirely on them. So, we must secure Leo first. That way, whether we're dealing with Gareth Granger or Sterling, we'll have some leverage. Hearing this, Carol frowned slightly, but didn't say much. Old Hayes, I'm going to put the ugly words out front. George spoke up. Leo is my grandson. No matter what, you cannot use him as a pawn. If anything happens to him, don't blame me for disregarding our old friendship and turning on you. What are you saying? Hayes quickly waved his hands, smiling bitterly. Don't worry. I promise you, even if I die, Leo won't be harmed. Is that good enough? That's more like it. George nodded. After confirming a few more details, it was unwittingly late at night. At their age, George and Hayes couldn't pull all-nighters like they used to. That's about it for now. If any unexpected situations arise, we'll talk then. Hayes waved his hand, stood up to leave, then suddenly turned to George. By the way, regarding the search for Gareth Granger, let's just put on a show. Don't actually find him. I know that. George grunted. I'm an old hand at this. You think I don't know that much? Hayes nodded and sighed. You and Colonel Grant are old hands, but Colonel Stone, he's still young and hot-blooded. There are some things I can't say directly to him. Hearing this, George fell silent for a moment before speaking. If, in the end, it turns out to be Stone, what will you do? Hayes didn't speak, his eyes dimming slightly. Stone, I brought him up myself. He said bitterly, whether it's Stone, Grant, or you, I'm not prepared for it to be any of you. I really hope it isn't one of you. George shook his head. You know that's impossible. The U.S. spy was among the three of them. This was practically set in stone. And that person likely knew their current situation and could launch a desperate counterattack at any moment. It could be said that the base was currently facing threats from both inside and out. As the head of the base, Hayes was probably the person with the biggest headache right now. I have a suggestion, Carol suddenly said. Why don't you ask Sterling if he knows the identity of the U.S. spy? George and Hayes were both stunned. Carol continued. I get the feeling that the entire situation in North Point is under Sterling's control. He might actually know the spy's identity. Although it sounds a bit far-fetched, my intuition tells me so. A woman's sixth sense. Hayes fell in a deep thought. He was considering whether to really ask Sterling, because Sterling's public persona was one of strategizing and knowing everything. I'll think about it. Hayes waved his hand. It's late. Rest early. Meeting adjourned. With that, he opened the door and left first. Bang, bang, bang. Early the next morning, a knock on the door dragged Leo from his bed, forcing his eyes open against his will. Who is it? No public decency this early in the morning. Technically, he shouldn't be sleeping at this hour, but he had no choice. He was temporarily grounded. If there's trouble, handle it. If not, sleep. Never internalize stress. That was the secret to life Leo had realized. I'll get it. Adrian's voice came from the living room. He had risen early, having no habit of sleeping in. Opening the door, he saw Lieutenant Sarge Sue and Private Cloud standing straight as ramrods, holding a sealed document pouch. Seeing Adrian, Sarge spoke first. "Hello, we're looking for Leo Evans." Adrian stepped aside to let them in, pointing to Leo's room. "Sleeping in there, but he should be awake by now." Sarge and Cloud walked toward Leo's room. "Leo, can we come in?" "What is it?" Leo buried his head under the quilt, his voice muffled. It's better to say this face to face. We have something to give you." Leo remained silent. Sarge and Cloud exchanged a glance. "We're coming in then?" Sarge pushed the door open. He saw Leo curled up entirely inside the blanket. "Doesn't he get suffocated?" Sarge wondered. But business came first. Sarge coughed twice and spoke solemnly. "Comrade Leo Evans, I am now conveying Commander Hayes' operational arrangements for you." Not listening. Before Sarge could finish, Leo's muffled voice cut him off. "I'm not military personnel. I don't accept your jurisdiction." Because they wouldn't let him go out to play, he was throwing tantrum, a rebellious phase that accepted no moral finger-pointing. Sarge's mouth twitched. How were they supposed to handle this? "We didn't offend you. Why take it out on us?" Cloud whispered, "Ignore it. Just finish reading the document, and let's retreat." Sarge agreed that was the only way. He opened the sealed pouch, took out the document, and read word for word. "Due to Comrade Leo Evans infiltrating Bedlam, obtaining top-secret intelligence, and saving the base from disaster, after deliberation, an exception is made to induct Comrade Leo Evans into the military and grant him the rank of captain." When Sarge read this part, he looked at the document in disbelief, his voice even cracking. Cloud also turned his head, thinking he was hallucinating. "What did you just say?" "Captain rank." They thought they were just delivering a normal document. They didn't expect the paper they had been holding all this way contained such explosive information. Just then, Leo popped his head out of the quilt, staring at them. "What did you just say?" Sarge quickly reread the characters one by one. He hadn't misread. It really is. Granting Leo Evans the rank of captain. Sarge felt it was ridiculous. Had Hayes gone mad? There were quite a few captains in the base, but not just anyone could be one, right? Even their leader, Carol Evans, had a grind for several years before becoming a captain, and that was considered fast. At Leo's age, he might be the youngest captain in the history of the entire military, right? Continue. Read on. Leo, who had just claimed he didn't want to listen, was now looking at Sarge with keen interest. Sarge braced himself and continued. "Additionally, due to Captain Carol Evans's health issues, Captain Leo Evans will temporarily take command of her squad as acting captain." Sarge's voice grew weaker, his face turning completely dark. Cloud also looked bewildered. They both had only one thought right now. Now, I become their captain. And Carol, what do you mean health issues? "Captain, if you want an excuse to take a vacation, can you find a better one? We are your dearest teammates. Are you just abandoning us like this?" Sarge took a deep breath and smiled awkwardly. "Well, maybe the clerical department made a mistake. We'll go back and verify. Leo, you..." "Hey." Leo frowned, looking at Sarge with dissatisfaction. "What, Leo? From now on, you call me Captain Evans." Cloud's mouth twitched. He's adapted to the new identity already. Still unwilling to accept reality, Cloud leaned over to scrutinize every word on the document. Hayes' signature and seal were there, and Carol's signature. Damn it. So everyone knew but us? No wonder they made the two of them deliver the file this early in the morning. It was all a setup. Cloud, unwilling to give up, pulled out his phone and dialed Carol. "Hello, Captain." "Cloud? What's up?" "Captain, is this document a mistake?" Cloud, I have to correct you," Carol interrupted. "I'm on vacation. I'm no longer your captain. If you have any issues, report to your current captain. That's it. Hanging up now." Beep, beep, beep. Cloud listened to the dial tone, dumbfounded, and swallowed hard. He turned to look at Sarge. The despair in his eyes made Sarge understand their situation. They had been sold. "What's wrong? Give me the file." Leo reached out his hand. Sarge handed the document to Leo with trembling hands. He knew that once Leo took this file, everything was set in stone. Honestly, he didn't oppose Leo becoming their captain. He was Carol's son, basically family, and his fight with Major Griffin earlier had earned their respect. But Sarge had a very strong premonition. It felt like handing this file to Leo was sending them down a path of no return. Cloud felt much the same way. An indescribable bleakness washed over them. Before Sarge could react, Leo snatched the file. Looking at the words, the corners of Leo's mouth lifted slightly. "The base will cooperate with all my actions." That's what it says, but it's best to discuss things with command beforehand," Sarge said weakly. Leo acted as if he didn't hear. He waved his hand and shouted toward the living room. Adrian, pack up. We're heading out. Time to work. Sarge and Cloud stood frozen, confusion written all over their faces. Work? What work? Where are they going? Why bring me along again? Adrian sat at the computer, sipping his coffee. Does my going really make a difference? Leo considered it. It seemed true. His current situation made it inconvenient to have people around him. Fine, you stay and guard the house. If anything happens, I'll contact you. With that, Leo threw on a jacket and ran to the bathroom to wash up, looking ready to leave immediately. Wait, Leo, where are you going? Sarge rushed forward to ask. Leo raised an eyebrow, looking back at him while brushing his teeth, saying nothing. Sarge's mouth twitched. He gritted his teeth. Captain Evans, where are you going? Do you even need to ask? Leo rinsed his mouth and spat out the water, speaking as if it were obvious. To carry out my undercover operation, of course. As a military captain, protecting the base, rooting out violence, and taking down all evil forces is my bounden duty. Cloud and Sarge's faces darkened. Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say stuff like that? What's with those looks? Leo said discontentedly. Go ask around. If not for me, would Westlake City, Viridian, and NYC be safe? If not for me, Leo Evans, who have saved those locals from disaster. Cough, cough, cough. Adrian suddenly coughed violently, as if choking on his coffee. He really wanted to ask Leo, why do you think those locals were in a disaster in the first place? No, there wasn't much water, but there sure were fires, one after another. Wonder who started them. Anyway, don't worry. I have undercover experience, Leo said confidently. Adrian didn't speak, just sipping his coffee. Undercover experience? Adrian remembered Leo was indeed an undercover agent in NYC, and quite successful. But how should he put it? He was technically undercover, but he didn't do a single thing an undercover agent usually does. Undercover agents steal intel, intercept data, wage information warfare. Leo's version? No intel, no data. The Westcott family just lost people day by day until they were wiped out. All right, Sebastian Westcott was left alive. Wonder how he is now. In Adrian's view, Bedlam was doomed. It was just a matter of time. Wait for my news. This captain is off on a mission. Leo waved goodbye to Sarge and Cloud, then calmly walked out the door, heading toward Bedlam. Fisk, it's really troublesome without Marco. I have to take a cab everywhere. Leo missed Marco. Without his all-purpose toolman, it felt uncomfortable. While Leo was on his way to Bedlam, the two city gates of North Point welcomed special figures. Marco. From Ethelbert, the guard looked at the ID in his hand, comparing it to the face of the person before him. Marco looked travel-worn. Facing the guard's scrutiny, he offered a friendly smile. But inside, he was full of distress. Who understands, fam? He was doing fine in NYC, thinking he could finally live a quiet life. Then yesterday, Ava suddenly told him to drive to North Point overnight, saying Mr. Evans needed him. It's useless for you to stay here. Go to North Point and watch Leo for me. Don't let him run wild. Don't let him play with explosives. Don't let him hide a secret stash. That was what Miss Ava told Marco. So Marco drove over through the night. You don't look like a tourist with that getup. What are you doing coming all the way from Ethelbert? The guard asked. Marco blinked. Was North Point security this strict? He hadn't heard it was this tight before. I'm here to find someone. Marco laughed awkwardly. Find who? My boss. What's his name? Marco suddenly choked. He didn't know if he should say Leo's real name. What if Leo was using an alias here? Would saying his name cause trouble for him? Marco, worthy of being Leo's most capable support, had a quick mind. He spoke naturally. My boss's name is Sterling. Officer, do you know my boss? If you do, could you give me directions? He seems to live over at East Side Ridge. The guard frowned. You're one of Sterling's people? Marco clicked his tongue inwardly. Sterling's name really carried weight. Even the guard knew him. Yes, he's my boss. All right, register here, then go in. Marco breathed a sigh of relief. After registering, he successfully entered North Point. But the problem was how to find Leo. Marco called, but no one answered. Forget it, I'll go find Julian. He should know where Leo is. Marco asked for directions and headed straight for East Side Ridge. After he left, the guard picked up the registration book Marco had signed and carefully examined the information. Confirming it was correct, he shouted to the booth behind him. Bring out a new registration book. This one's full. Soon, another guard walked out holding a new book. Full again. He looked at the densely packed names and sighed. Why are there so many people coming to North Point these past 2 days? Stop yapping and get this one sent over. He handed the full book to the other guard. Remember, deliver it to East Side Ridge. No mistakes allowed. Even if you die, this roster cannot be lost, understood? This is a strict order from the base to cooperate with that person at East Side Ridge. I know, it's not my first delivery. The guard waved his hand. You cover for me here. I'll be back to relieve you after I deliver it. With that, he took the roster, got into a vehicle, and also drove toward East Side Ridge. Meanwhile, at another entrance to North Point, a man in a black robe, with a weathered face looking like a beggar, was also undergoing inspection. The guard took his ID and scrutinized the information. Joe, ¿En ser resident? Why dress like this? Couldn't make a living there anymore. Came here to find a way to survive, the man said, his voice raspy. The guard nodded, asking no more questions, but looked at the name on the ID. Name is President Morgan, correct? Correct. The man lowered his hood, revealing his face, which matched the ID closely. He looked at the guard and spoke slowly. I am President Morgan. Outside Bedlam, Leo got out of the car at the same spot as yesterday and walked toward the town. He ran right into the butcher who sold pork yesterday. Unlike his attitude yesterday, the moment the butcher saw Leo, he immediately shouted respectfully, Good morning, Boss 3. Leo stopped in his tracks, raising an eyebrow at him. What did you call me? Boss 3, the butcher said honestly. Boss Buck told us yesterday that you are now the number 3 in charge of Bedlam. So naturally, we have to call you Boss 3. Boss 3? Leo's mouth twitched. The name sounded like a bandit leader, and it made him sound old. The butcher was still smiling obsequiously. Yesterday I had eyes, but didn't recognize Mount Tai. I offended Boss 3. I hope you won't take offense. Leo glanced at him. It's fine. Just be a good person from now on. With that, Leo walked away, leaving the butcher standing there, dumbfounded. What? Did I hear that right? Boss 3 just told me to be a good person. Does that mean he's going to kill me and send me to be reincarnated? The butcher looked desperate. He had heard yesterday that this Boss 3 was ruthless and incredibly strong. A bona fide demon with at least dozens of lives on his conscience. Provoking him meant needing more than a few lives to spare. Does this mean today is the last time I set up my stall? The butcher looked at the pork in front of him with dead eyes, feeling all strength leave his body. He couldn't even grip his cleaver. Leo didn't care about any of that. He just said it casually. Arriving at the gate of Bedlam, Leo noticed the 2 guards had been replaced. He had taken care of the previous pair yesterday. Boss 3. The 2 newly appointed intern guards were very perceptive and respectfully invited Leo in, avoiding a tragic accident like yesterday. Leo, you're here. Harvey Gundam. He saw Leo arrive and quickly ran up. Boss Buck told me to send you directly to see him when you arrived. Leo nodded and followed Gundam toward the small villa. Walking along, Leo glanced out of the corner of his eye, seemingly casually, at a one-eyed man not far away. He had noticed immediately upon entering the town that this one-eyed man had been keeping a set distance from him. Surveilling me? Is he Shirokiri's man? Or Buck's? Leo frowned slightly, then quickly ruled out Buck. Buck knew his strength. He wouldn't use such an obvious method to monitor him. That left Shirokiri. Seems he still hasn't let his guard down around me. Leo shook his head inwardly. He then asked Gundam. The leader hasn't returned yet? Gundam shook his head. No. After leaving yesterday, the leader hasn't come back. He's probably still out handling business. Leo nodded, then looked around before saying, Turn right up ahead. Find a place with no people. Huh? Gundam froze, turning his head mechanically to look at Leo. Now, are you? Cut the crap, just do as I say. Leo's gaze made Gundam shudder. He swallowed hard and braced himself, leading Leo to the right. Soon, they arrived at a secluded spot with no outsiders around. Gundam was terrified, stammering Leo, did you bring me here to say something? The corners of Leo's mouth lifted into a slight smile. Gundam, how long have you been following Buck? Less than half a year. What benefits do you get following him? Gundam was stunned, not understanding what Leo was getting at. Leo slowly approached him, leaning close to Gundam's ear, and whispered softly. To tell you the truth, actually, I'm an undercover agent sent by the military. Boom! Leo's words exploded like thunder in Gundam's ears, sending his heart rate skyrocketing. Now, Leo, don't make jokes like that. I'm not joking, Leo said with a straight face. The reason I'm telling you is that you haven't done anything truly bad, so I'm looking for a little help from you. That means, from now on, you work for me. Even if I tell you to kill Buck, you have to do it. Gundam broke into a cold sweat, momentarily at a loss for words. This was fatal. How did this kind of thing land on him? Now, I'm just a nobody trying to make a living in North Point. I don't want to get involved in your fights. Gundam clasped his hands together, begging. Why don't you have mercy and let me go? I'll pretend I never heard those words just now, and I absolutely won't tell Boss Buck. Okay? Leo raised an eyebrow. You think if you don't agree, you'll stay alive? Hearing this, Gundam wanted to cry, but had no tears. Leo, I haven't done many bad things in my life. If you ask me to kill Boss Buck, I really can't do it. It was just a figure of speech. I'm not really asking you to kill him, Leo said grumpily. Besides, do you really want to stay here forever? If not here, where can I go? Gundam's eyes looked desolate. I have no one to rely on, not even a home. Isn't it wandering no matter where I go? Don't you want to go back to Viridian and take a look? Go back. What's the use of going back? Gundam sighed. My family was wiped out, no survivors. Even my wife and daughter aren't in this world anymore. Going back would only add to the sorrow. As he spoke, Gundam pulled a tattered photo from his pocket. It was a picture of his family of 3. This photo is my only reason for living. I have to live on for their sake too. I don't hope for revenge anymore. I only pray that one day I can see that villain die with my own eyes, and I'll be satisfied. Hearing this, Leo didn't say much more. Since Gundam was in this situation, he wouldn't force him. Just as he was about to give up, Leo suddenly caught a glimpse of a familiar face in the photo. Wait, let me see that photo. Leo quickly leaned in, looking closely at the people in the photo, then back at the nervous Gundam. No wonder your face looked so familiar. Gundam looked confused. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Leo smiled, looking at the man before him, and pointed at the photo. Your wife and daughter, they're both still alive. I didn't expect you to be Hope's dad. The name Hope struck Gundam like a thunderbolt, freezing him in place. After a long while, he looked up at Leo in disbelief. What? What did you just say? I said, your wife and daughter are both still alive, Leo said with a smile. I met Hope too. She's living quite well now. Now he understood why Hope had been unwilling to tell him her full name back in Viridian. Her mother must have specifically instructed her. If anyone knew there were survivors of the He family, their old enemies might have come knocking. Are you serious? You've really seen Hope? Gundam excitedly grabbed Leo's hand. Where are they now? Where did you see them? Calm down first. Leo patiently patted his shoulder. Viridian isn't the Viridian of the past anymore. Hope and her mother's lives won't be disturbed by your old enemies. Leo briefly explained everything that had happened in Viridian. Now that Viridian had broken free from the control of the 4 alliances, it was developing in a positive direction. As for those smaller factions getting restless, someone had naturally stayed behind to keep them in check. Principal Chapman of Viridian High, leading a portion of the new century left behind by Sterling, was maintaining order. With Sterling and the new century's reputation, the small factions in Viridian didn't dare cause trouble. Moreover, after the Manhattan incident, the news of Sterling blowing up a mountain and burying countless members of the 4 pillars had spread to Viridian, scaring those with ulterior motives half to death. Who dared to provoke a man like that? Furthermore, rumors said Viridian High had connections with the great Demon King, Leo Evans. This made Viridian High a sanctuary no faction in Viridian dare to touch. Anywhere else, do what you want, but if you dare touch Viridian High, buddy, better luck in your next life. Don't dream too big. So you're saying they're safe? Gundam muttered to himself. The main cartel destroyed. Jasper Kane dead. Gundam looked at Leo solemnly and prepared to kneel right there. Hey. Leo quickly stopped him. What are you doing? Mister, Evans's great kindness deserves this kneel. Gundam said in a deep voice. Jasper Kane wiped out my entire family. Mister, Evans avenged my blood feud. This debt must be repaid. Get up. Leo yanked him up, not letting him kneel. I didn't tell you this to get repaid. I'm just telling you Hope is alive and waiting for you. In Bedlam, you know it yourself. Without strength and background, it's easy to get in but hard to get out. Let alone returning to Viridian. Leo said softly, from now on, follow me. I guarantee you'll go back and reunite with Hope. Gundam nodded, his eyes incredibly firm. He didn't doubt the word for a second because he now knew the man before him wasn't some Leo 9 from the Umbra. He was the great Demon King famous in NYC, Leo Evans. Following him, escaping Bedlam would be a piece of cake. Mr. Evans, from today on, I am your man. Gundam's eyes were full of adoration. Leo's mouth twitched. Don't make it sound so gross. I'm taken, but this made things much easier. Listen carefully to what I need you to do next. Leo whispered something in Gundam's ear. Gundam's pupils kept constricting, his heart shaking. Are we really doing this? This kind of setup gets people killed. 10 minutes later, Gundam brought Leo to Buck's villa. Boss Buck, Leo is here. Buck opened the door, smiling slightly when he saw Leo. Just the man I needed to see. Cool mean. Gundam consciously didn't enter, looking at Buck. Boss Buck, I'll be going then. Good work. Buck didn't care. He only cared about Shirokiri. After Leo entered, Buck couldn't wait to speak. Big news. Our chance is here. What chance? Shirokiri wants to make a move on the military high command. What? Leo raised an eyebrow. So sudden. Where did you get this info? Don't worry about that. But from what I know, Shirokiri's target this time is one of the 3 commanders. Buck smiled sinisterly. The decision is in our hands now. Which commander do you want him to hit? Leo frowned. We get to decide something like this. To tell you the truth, I actually have another fake identity, a U.S. spy. Buck revealed everything. Shirokiri contacted me last night, hoping I could help him kill one of the 3 commanders. In his view, my identity is one of the 3 commanders, so that's why he contacted me. I haven't given him an answer yet, just said I'd consider it. Who do you think we should send him to kill? Buck looked excited. He belonged to neither the military nor the spies. He was just a spectator. The chaotic the situation, the better he liked it. Letting Shirokiri take people to fight the military, specifically assassinating high-ranking commanders. Buck loved this kind of drama. Leo frowned slightly. Assassinating a commander, didn't that include his grandfather? Should he tell his grandfather about this? Suddenly, a thought flashed through Leo's mind. Wasn't the military investigating a mole right now? This Buck in front of him was a fake U.S. spy, which meant the real spy must be in the military high command. Should he take this chance to gamble? If Shirokiri ended up attacking the real U.S. spy, wouldn't that be hilarious? Leo looked up, meeting Buck's gaze. In that instant, he knew Buck was thinking the exact same thing. So Leo spoke up. Who do you think is most likely the U.S. spy? Buck shook his head. That I don't know. It's just among those few people. Excluding your grandfather, it's a choice of 3. Commander Hayes, Colonel Grant, and Colonel Stone. A 1 in 3 chance. Let's see if we can pick the right one. Leo shrugged. In that case, let's draw lots and rely on luck. Buck grinned. Good idea. That makes it fun. So, they immediately made 3 slips of paper. Although it was unlikely they could fool Shirokiri into attacking Commander Hayes, after considering it, they added Hayes in anyway. Soon, Leo randomly drew one from the shuffled slips. What he held his hand was the target that would trick Shirokiri into attacking. Leo and Buck held their breath as they slowly unfolded the paper. Written on it were 2 words, Colonel Grant. Colonel Grant. Seeing the name, Leo and Buck looked at each other. Leo remembered this man, seemed to be his old man's friend. The likelihood of him being the U.S. spy wasn't high. He was a veteran of many years. Theoretically. But Leo didn't think so. As the saying goes, barking dogs seldom bite. Since coming to North Point, Leo felt this person was too quiet. Even Colonel Stone knew how to stir up some trouble and seek presence. But Colonel Grant was like a retiree, asking about nothing, caring about nothing. In Leo's view, people like that were highly problematic. Of course, he couldn't rule out that it was just his personality. So Leo couldn't just conclude he was the spy. Sure, it's him. Buck asked playfully. That old guy isn't easy to deal with. Actually, the success rate for hitting Colonel Stone would be higher. So kill Stone. Leo spread his hands, looking into Buck's eyes. I don't care. It's not like I'm going to kill him. Hard to say. Maybe Shirokiri will make you participate in this operation to test you. Leo raised an eyebrow. That was indeed possible. That would be tricky. If he told General George Evans, the military certainly wouldn't sit back and watch Colonel Grant be assassinated. But if Grant really was the spy, he would definitely guess from the military's actions that there was a mole in Bedlam. With a little analysis, the chance of Leo being exposed was high. Then the game was over. But if he didn't tell George and Grant turned out to be a good guy, what if he actually got killed? Looks like I really have to act with Shirokiri. Only by participating in this operation could he judge Grant's true identity and adapt accordingly. All right, since it's decided, I'll con Shirokiri into going after Colonel Grant. Buck smiled. That guy's currently begging everywhere for help. He's really giving it his all to go home. And news came from the frontier recently that his brother, Chizuru Kiri, has infiltrated our war zone with a team, probably to prepare to extract Shiro. Hearing this, Leo asked curiously, infiltrated our war zone? He's that bold. After all, he's the #1 expert of the island nation. On our side, only Sergeant Mad Dog Wu and Captain Invincible Zhao can go toe-to-toe with him. Others aren't his match, Buck explained. And Chizuru Kiri himself is extremely skilled in stealth assassination. They say his family is a ninja clan. Hearing this, an image flashed in Leo's mind. Ninja clan? Can they make energy balls? Or do they wear colored contacts? He was actually a bit curious and wanted to meet this Chizuru Kiri. Finish things here early. Go play at the frontier. Leo looked at the progress bar for the system's ultimate mission and sighed helplessly. Only 31% complete. And this was only after his fame in NYC spread that it gradually rose. At this speed, it won't reach 100% even when I die of old age, right? Suddenly, a flash of inspiration hit Leo. An absurd idea surfaced in his mind. Global icon. Doesn't necessarily mean fighting and killing, right? Can't I just debut as a star? Besides, in his pile of low-level skills, things like musical instruments and dancing were all gathering dust. Leo frowned, seriously considering the feasibility of taking the artistic route. Buck rolled his eyes, then suddenly said, "By the way, Leo, did you notice that one-eyed man?" Interrupted, Leo slowly looked up. "You mean the guy who's been monitoring me?" "Indeed. Nothing escapes your eyes." Buck first praised him, then added, "He's Shiro Kiri's informant. With him around, it's inconvenient for you to do anything. Why don't you find a secluded spot later and off him? Why don't you do it yourself?" Leo rolled his eyes at him. "Besides, if he dies, Shiro Kiri's suspicion of me will only grow." "True, keep him then. I was mostly worried he'd be inconvenient for you." Buck smiled with narrowed eyes. After all, Shiro left him specifically to monitor you. Hearing this, Leo sneered inwardly. "Monitor me? I'm afraid it's not just me, right?" Leo could see that Buck was obviously also within the one-eyed man surveillance scope, so he wanted to use Leo's hand to remove this eyesore. But the one-eyed man couldn't die. The corners of Leo's mouth curled up slightly. He cursed inwardly. "You lying cheat, trying to pit your daddy, Leo? Just you wait. I'll deliver a huge surprise to you." Just then, a phone rang from inside Buck's bedroom. Buck looked tense. He looked at Leo and said, "If there's nothing else, you go back first. I have things to do here. Contact me if anything comes up." Leo glanced at the bedroom, didn't speak, and turned to leave. Confirming Leo was gone, Buck hurriedly returned to the bedroom and took a phone from the closet. Seeing the caller ID, Buck smiled slightly and answered. "So, have you thought about it?" Shiro Kiri's voice rang out. Buck snorted coldly and spoke slowly. "I can help you, but you have to tell me first, how many people have you pulled in? Besides you, there are 3 other spies willing to help me." "3? Which 3? I promised them I wouldn't reveal their information." "Fine, doesn't matter," Buck said in a low voice. "I can help you, but the condition is your target must be Colonel Grant." His voice was disguised. Shiro Kiri couldn't tell it was Buck. "Colonel Grant." Shiro Kiri frowned slightly. If the other party said this, it meant the real identity of the U.S. spy was either General George Evans or Colonel Stone. "How can you help me?" Shiro asked. "I can provide you with an opportunity." Buck's tone was solemn. "I will keep a close watch on Grant's movements. Once he leaves the base's protection range, I will notify you. Then, you can make your move." "You won't act?" Shiro asked. "Of course I won't act," Buck growled. "The value you're showing now isn't worth exposing my identity for. Come talk to me when you've truly established cooperation with Gareth Granger." On the other end, Shiro fell silent for a long time. After a while, his voice sounded slowly. "Good. It's a deal." After Leo left Buck's villa, he looked around and saw Gundam not far away. Gundam also saw Leo and waved at him. Leo walked toward him, glancing out of the corner of his eye at the distance. The one-eyed man sent by Shiro Kiri to monitor him was standing there, pretending nothing was happening. Likes to follow, huh? The corners of Leo's mouth lifted slightly. He walked to Gundam's side and whispered, "Do as I told you earlier." Gundam nodded secretly, then walked side by side with Leo. The one-eyed man followed behind them, keeping his distance. Shiro Kiri had said to keep a close eye on this 9, as his identity was likely problematic. Soon, in the one-eyed man's view, 9 and Gundam walked around a corner. He slowly followed, then suddenly froze. Where's 9? Why is he gone?" In his sight, only Gundam remained. 9 had disappeared without a trace. Damn it, where did he run off to? Before the one-eyed man could react, he noticed Gundam suddenly walking back. In a rush, he quickly found a corner to hide in. After Gundam passed, the one-eyed man frowned. Just as he was planning to report this strange event to Shiro Kiri. "Boss Buck, 9 is gone." Gundam's voice rang out abruptly, making the one-eyed man stop what he was doing. Okay, I'll wait for you right here." Gundam hung up the phone, loitering in place, occasionally looking around suspiciously. Something's wrong. This is very wrong. Seeing this situation, the one-eyed man's heart began to race. He decided to lurk right there. His intuition told him he was about to get some incredible intelligence. Sure enough, after a while, with the sound of footsteps, a figure slowly appeared. It was Buck. The one-eyed man held his breath, pricking up his ears, and secretly turned on his phone's video recording, planning to capture everything that happened next. Boss Buck, you're finally here. Gundam saw the arrival and immediately ran up. The two stood very close to the one-eyed man's hiding spot. Sweat trickled down the one-eyed man's forehead, but he didn't dare wipe it. He was terrified that any movement would alert the two. Buck looked left and right, whispering, "You're sure there's no one else nearby?" "Of course, I checked everything. Boss Buck, about that matter with the military. You haven't forgotten, right?" Hearing this, Buck sneered disdainfully. "Of course not. You think I'd abandon you? I promised you. The day I joined forces with the military to wipe out all of Bedlam is the day you join the military and rise to greatness." Hearing these words, the one-eyed man's pupils shook violently. Holy crap, what the hell did I just hear? Buck is cooperating with the military. The one-eyed man felt his heart was about to jump out of his chest, his hand holding the phone, trembling slightly. Steady. Must stay steady. The one-eyed man told himself secretly. As long as I tell the leader about this, maybe I can become the new second-in-command. A bright future is waving at me. I absolutely cannot let this credit slip away. Just as the one-eyed man recorded all this, Gundam continued. It's still you who thinks of everything, Boss Buck. Finding some random guy named 9 to take the black pot for you. Right now, most of the leader's attention should be on 9. Even if something really happens, he won't suspect you first. That 9 is truly a sucker, actually thinking we're wholeheartedly for Bedlam. The corners of Buck's mouth lifted. He's just my scapegoat. The leader would never guess that I am the one from the military. The one-eyed man held up the phone tremblingly, not daring to look outside even once. He was afraid that one glance would make him explode. The news he heard was simply too explosive. Then, Buck took a piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to Gundam. This is a document I forged for contacting the military. Buck smiled sinisterly. I need you to plant this on 9 unknowingly at the critical moment. Then he'll naturally become my scapegoat, unable to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Gundam took the document, bit his lower lip, and said, "Don't worry, Boss Buck. I will complete the mission. Once this is done, wait to welcome your bright life." Buck nodded encouragingly. In the dark, the one-eyed man also felt encouraged. After showing this video to the leader, he too would welcome a bright life. Watching Buck and Gundam walk away, the one-eyed man finally dared to breathe heavily, gasping for air. He slowly walked out of the corner, looking at the video just recorded on his phone, and ran outside without looking back. He had to find the leader. He had a major discovery and had to see the leader personally. The one-eyed man didn't know that after he left, 2 figures stood behind him, watching him go. "Mr. Evans, will this really work?" Gundam asked doubtfully. The person who looked exactly like Buck blurred for a moment, and his face instantly changed into Leo's appearance. "Of course. To fish, all we have to do is cast a bait." "But Mr. Evans," Gundam hesitated. "Doing this, Buck will get killed, right?" "Relax. How could he die that easily?" Leo smiled slightly. "If I guess correctly, with his virtue, he's long since planted spies next to Shirokiri." "Who is Shirokiri?" "He's your leader." "Oh," Gundam nodded. Before, he might have been surprised to learn the leader's identity. But it was different now. He was Leo Evans's man. What storms hadn't he seen? In short, my identity as 9 should be completely cleared of suspicion. Leo grinned mischievously. As for Buck, let him pray for his own luck. As the saying goes, better a dead friend than a dead me. Besides, he, the dignified great demon king of NYC, came to this bedlam and could only be a third in command? Are you kidding? Get this second in command down first, then go deal with the boss. He, Leo Evans, never bowed to anyone. Except Ava. Eastside Ridge, inside Master Silas's courtyard. "Mr. Reed, I've looked so hard for you. I missed you so much, Mr. Reed." Marco hugged Julian's leg, snot and tears flowing, making Julian's eye twitch. "Let go first." Marco immediately let go, tears and snot instantly retracting. Julian said helplessly, "Why did you run over here?" "The young miss sent me. To watch Leo." "Yeah." Julian rubbed his forehead. "Then why did you come to me?" "I couldn't find Mr. Evans, so I had to come here." "You expect me to help you find him?" Julian was speechless. How would he know where Leo was? He wasn't God, and the person to be found was Leo, that unstable element. "Go check around the military base. Maybe you'll get lucky." "I don't dare." Marco shook his head like a rattle drum. "I'm afraid they'll lock me up." "You haven't committed any crimes. Why would they arrest you? Julian snapped. Mr. Reed, you don't know. When I entered the city, those military guys checked me like I was a criminal. I didn't dare speak recklessly, Marco said with lingering fear. Luckily, I was resourceful and ratted out Sterling, so I didn't leak our info. As he spoke, Marco's voice suddenly quieted down, because his gaze fell on Sterling, who had just walked out nearby. Marco was stunned. What's the situation? Why is Sterling here? Before he could ask, a knock sounded on the door, accompanied by a man's voice. City Guard Department, here to deliver the roster. Sterling glanced at Marco and walked straight over to open the door. A guard stood at the door. Seeing Sterling open it, he handed the thick stack of filled rosters to him. This is for today. I should be delivering tomorrow's as well, the guard said. Sterling nodded. Thanks for your hard work. No problem. Since it's a mission from above, it's our duty to do our best. The guard finished speaking, said goodbye, and drove back. Sterling closed the door, flipping through the roster in his hand, walking slowly. Marco. Sterling looked at the last name on the list, then looked up at the bewildered Marco. It's you, right? You filled in so little information because you said you knew me? Sterling shook his head with a smile. These people's work attitude is still not serious enough. Marco was dumbfounded. The info he filled out was considered little. They had almost investigated his ancestors back 18 generations. With that, Sterling took the roster back into the room, seemingly preparing to study something. Mr. Reed, this. Marco looked at Julian, panic in his eyes. Seeing this, Julian said, relax. For now, he and I are on the same side. No, I mean, he won't hold a grudge, will he? Marco said fearfully. I felt like the way he looked just now. Like he's marked me. Being marked by Sterling was something that would keep anyone awake at night. Julian shook his head. He won't. He's afraid of trouble too. Marco posed. What trouble? Could he possibly cause trouble for Sterling? Soon, Julian laughed. You count as Leo's man now. He doesn't want to be targeted by Leo in the future over a trivial matter like this. You know how Leo is. If he wants to trouble someone, he just needs an excuse. Sterling doesn't want you to be that excuse. Hearing this, Marco breathed a sigh of relief. All right, rest here tonight. I'll accompany you to the military base tomorrow to look around. Mr. Reed, you're coming with me? Yeah. Given Leo's relationship with Ava, logically and emotionally, I should pay a visit to his family. Julian smiled and shouted toward the house. Master Silas, come out with me in a bit. What now? Master Silas walked out, looking disgruntled. Buying some things, visiting elders. Let the old blind man go with you for small stuff like this. Julian shook his head. If Shane Quill gets recognized, his enemies will give us enough of a headache. Master Silas clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction. He really didn't understand why they had to keep that big trouble, Shane Quill, around. Fine, I got it. I'll pack up and go with you. Master Silas went back to his room to pack. Meanwhile, in a building in East Side Ridge, Shirokiri was holding binoculars, watching everything happening in the courtyard. That person is Sterling. Correct. A figure stood beside him, wearing a white apron, his hands still stained with some white flour. Shiro slowly lowered the binoculars, turning to look at the person beside him. I never expected that all these years you've been staying in East Side Ridge, monitoring everything here. I can't compare to you, actually becoming the leader of Bedlam. Can you help me with killing Colonel Grant? Such a big matter. And you want an answer now? Warren, I have no way out. Shiro called out the man's name. You should be the only spy from the Southern Union left, right? Before, when Sterling wasn't here, you could keep hiding. But now that he's back, your discovery is just a matter of time. Instead of sitting and waiting for death, why not gamble with me? What do you think? Warren remained silent, looking toward Master Silas's courtyard. After a long while, he spoke. These past 2 days, the city guards have been constantly delivering things to Sterling. Although I don't know what it is, I have an ominous premonition. Warren paused, then added, I can help you, but you must promise me. After it's done, your brother Chizuru Kiri must help the Southern Union kill someone. Who? Captain Invincible Zhao. Shiro frowned. As far as I know, Captain Zhao infiltrated the Southern Union for a while some time ago. Did he get his hands on your top secret intel? Don't worry about that. Just say if you agree or not. Warren refused to discuss other matters. Shiro was silent for a long time, then said, okay, but it can't just be my brother acting. The expert from the Southern Union must mobilize too. Of course. Warren smiled, extending his hand to Shiro. Then I wish us a happy cooperation. Shiro shook his hand. Continue monitoring the situation with Sterling for now. Wait for my signal. The others in the courtyard are nothing to fear. Just focus on Sterling. Warren nodded with a smile. Don't worry, I know. Shiro nodded, put down the binoculars, and turned to leave. Just as Shiro was about to get in the car and leave, his phone vibrated. Seeing the caller ID, Shiro frowned. One Eye? Why is he calling at this time? Although confused, Shiro chose to answer, signaling the driver to start the car while listening to what One Eye had to say. Leader, I have important intelligence. One Eye sounded incredibly excited. Super important intel? I have to tell you in person. Hearing this, Shiro's gaze intensified. Judging by One Eye's tone, it didn't seem fake. He must have discovered something. Where are you now? I'll come to you. One Eye immediately gave a location. Shiro made a prompt decision, changing his route to find One Eye. Unbeknownst to him, shortly after he left, Leo, wearing a baseball cap, swaggered into East Side Ridge. TSK, this is the legendary East Side Ridge. Leo looked around curiously. Didn't look like anything special. He came here to find Julian. He had been in North Point for so long, it wasn't appropriate not to visit his brother-in-law. Also, to meet that Master Silas guy and ask him to craft a pair of rings for his wedding with Ava. Warren's Biscuit Shack. Leo passed a bun shop and suddenly stopped, looking at his empty hands. Visiting empty-handed and asking Master Silas for a favor doesn't seem appropriate. Leo, well-versed in the ways of the world, decided to buy 2 buns as a gift. After all, taking gifts makes one indebted. If you eat the buns I bought, do you have the nerve not to help me? If you don't help, you're looking down on the buns Leo Evans bought. Looking down on me. Looking down on the Evans family, which is equivalent to looking down on my grandfather. Looking down on my grandfather means Master Silas is scorning the entire North Point base. Hayes would bring people to raid your house in minutes. Correct, that logic holds up. Leo nodded. With his logical mind, there was absolutely nothing wrong with that reasoning. So Leo decisively shouted inside, "Boss, give me 5 savory buns. And 5 with pickled vegetables." Buying a bit more, he was hungry too. No one. Seeing no one come out, Leo hollered again, "Buying buns. Are you open for business?" Coming. A voice sounded from behind. Leo turned to see a man wearing a white apron, hands dusted with flour, running over hurriedly from a distance. "Sorry about that, little brother. Had something to do just now. How many buns do you want?" Warren asked Leo with a smile, his eyes constantly darting, but unable to see the face under the baseball cap. With Leo's methods, a slight angle shift was enough to use the hat to block his face. Although he had the doppelganger skill, Leo preferred his own face. Using someone else's face too much felt weird. "Give me 5. Actually, give me 5 of everything." He was asking for a favor, so spending a bit more was fine. "All right, that's $35 total." Okay, scanned it. After paying, Leo sent a message to Ava, asking her to reimburse him. Ava told him to get lost. It can only be said that since Ava couldn't hit him through the screen, Leo was addicted to being annoying again. Taking the buns, Leo asked, "Big brother, which way to Master Silas's house?" Hearing this, Warren suddenly froze, a change appearing in his expression. Looking for Master Silas? Who is this person? This momentary change was keenly detected by Leo. "Little brother, why are you looking for Master Silas?" Warren quickly returned to normal, asking while trying hard to see the face under Leo's hat. Naturally, Leo wouldn't let him succeed. He shifted his angle slightly and whispered, "Nothing major, just asking him to help make something." "Then you might be disappointed. Master Silas stopped making things for people a long time ago." "Really? But I'm already here. Might as well try my luck. Big brother, point me in the direction." Seeing this, Warren couldn't say much more and told him the location of Master Silas's home. Leo thanked him, then carried the buns in the direction Warren pointed. Warren stared at Leo's back for a long time, then laughed and shook his head. "I must be too sensitive. Maybe he really is just here to ask Master Silas for a favor." Looking at the empty steamers, Warren started packing up directly. Leo had bought all his remaining buns, which was perfect for letting him close up early to busy himself with Shirokiri's affairs. Whoa, pretty rich. Such a big courtyard. Leo arrived at Master Silas's door, feeling the aura of wealth before even entering. Legendary gunsmith. Profitable trade. Knock, knock, knock. Leo knocked gently. A slightly nervous voice soon sounded from inside. "Oh, who is it?" "Shane Quill." Leo raised an eyebrow, recognizing the voice. Why was the big con man here? Meanwhile, inside the courtyard, Shane Quill also recognized Leo's voice. His face turned green instantly. Why did the great Demon King come here? He quickly pinched his nose and said, You have the wrong person. There's no Shane Quill here. Quit it, big con man. Open the door. I have business with Master Silas." "Master Silas isn't here. Come back another day." "I'm smashing the door down." Shane's mouth twitched. How could he say such violent words so casually? Helpless, Shane drooped his head and went to open the door for Leo. Couldn't you have just opened it earlier? Leo looked at Shane and stepped into the courtyard. Why are you here? Shane sighed. It's a long story. That day I came from NYC. All right, I'm too lazy to listen. Leo waved his hand, interrupting Shane. Where's Master Silas? I need him. He just went out with Julian. Unlucky. When will they be back? Gonna be a while. Maybe come back another day. It's fine, I can wait. Leo decisively found a reclining chair and lay down. Shane's eye twitched. He really didn't want to stay with Leo. Plus, he still owed Leo money. Leo leaned back leisurely, basking in the sun, and said softly, Big con man, you're the only one here? Shane shook his head. Just as he was about to speak, a door pushed open and a figure walked out. And me? Sterling walked out of the house, looking at Leo on the reclining chair, and smiled. Is North Point fun? Hearing Sterling's words, Leo turned his head. Yo, Lord Sterling, you're still alive? I thought you died at the hands of that grandson, Gareth Granger. Aside, Shane Cool broke into a cold sweat. Damn, lived long enough to see everything. First time seeing someone dare talk to Sterling like that. Looking at Sterling again, instead of getting angry, he smiled. Luckily escaped from his hands. He pulled up a stool and sat opposite Leo. How did you find this place? Asked for directions. The owner of Warren's Biscuit Shack pointed the way. Leo leaned lazily in the chair and continued. But that owner looked a bit off to me. Didn't look like an ordinary biscuit seller. Warren's Biscuit Shack. Oh, him. Sterling seemed to remember the person and nodded. Indeed, there's an 80% chance he's a foreign spy, just not sure which side. Fisk, even your East Side Ridge has been infiltrated by spies. No matter how special East Side Ridge is, it's just a part of North Point. It's not strange to be infiltrated. Sterling poured himself a cup of tea and continued. I only dug him out recently. He hid very well before. Leo raised an eyebrow. Evidence? None. Sterling's eyes were flat. Don't need evidence. Suspicion is enough. Better to kill the wrong person than let one go. Leo smacked his lips, marveling. You really look like a villain. That's where you're wrong. Villain and hero, evil and justice, are always just definitions you define by your own standards. Sterling looked at the tea in front of him, speaking meaningfully. In this world, who could be truly righteous, and who is truly evil? Just like characters in a movie, do you think the villains in there consider themselves villains? They're just doing what they think is right. Leo closed his eyes, listening to Sterling's speech without saying a word. Shane hid in a corner, boredly watching the red carp in the lotus pond, not daring to join the conversation between these two. After a long time, Leo spoke slowly. So, you walked out of North Point and founded the New Century. Later, you hid the New Century in the dark and established the Bureau of Syndicate Oversight. But you found that the Bureau's existence couldn't achieve your goal, and their dependence on you was too strong to go far. So, you used the Manhattan incident as an opportunity to disappear from the public eye, and thus the Bureau began to decline. If one day you can see the light of day again, it means the Bureau has a new soul, and you can restart your layout. Then you learned of my existence. Before your injuries healed, you ran to Viridian, using the New Century and Viridian situation to set a trap for me. Maybe the experience in Viridian made you change your plan and put your focus on me. So starting from NYC, you pulled all factions, including me, into the game. Leo opened his eyes, looking directly at Sterling, puzzled. I've always been curious. You spent so much effort on me. What exactly do you want me to do? Sterling didn't avoid Leo's gaze at all. After the two looked at each other for a long time, Sterling suddenly laughed. Leo, you really don't need to be so guarded against me. Sterling said softly, what I seek is just peace. I can promise you, no matter the outcome, you can live the life you want. Is that enough? Hearing this, Leo said in a deep voice, you better be. My dad and the others trust you. That's why I'm sitting here wasting breath with you. Otherwise, I would have fought you long ago. Sterling smiled bitterly. Then I have to thank you. With that, he checked the time. It was about time. He stood up. Make yourself at home. Master Silas and the others should be back in a bit. I'm going out to see a friend. Leo nodded, closed his eyes on the reclining chair, and stopped talking. Not far away, hearing the movement, Shane quickly said, Sterling, where are you going? Take me with you. He didn't want to be alone with Leo. Sterling snapped. Take you? Will I be able to go out then? Don't you have a clue how many enemies you have out there? Shane was scolded like a grandson, lowering his head and daring not to speak. Sterling said no more, took his car keys, and drove off in a certain direction. Leo basked in the sun while eating buns, waiting for Master Silas to return. I have to say, the taste was pretty good. An hour later, on a barren hill in North Point. Sterling climbed the mountain path alone, panting slightly. Along the way, he passed many graves. Many families in North Point buried their departed loved ones on this barren hill. And since this hill was right behind East Side Ridge, it was also called East Spirit Mountain. After walking the long and rugged mountain path, Sterling arrived at a spot near the summit. Not far away, a figure in black stood before a grave, holding fresh flowers, eyes filled with endless longing. Seeing this, Sterling let out a long breath and slowly walked toward him. "I didn't expect you to come." Sterling walked to the man's side, also looking at the tombstone, and asked softly, "Remembered everything?" The man nodded, his voice hoarse. "If I could, I'd rather not remember." The two fell into silence. On the tombstone before them, several lines were carved. "Tomb of Patriarch Cheen, Cheen Foam, erected by friend Sterling." In the blink of an eye, 7 years have passed. Sterling's eyes were complex as he slowly placed the flowers he had been holding in front of the tombstone. Preston Cheen did the same. At this moment, both were dressed in black, looking desolate. No one had ever seen Sterling like this, without a trace of a smile or gentleness on his face, only endless regret and remorse. After a long time, Sterling spoke to the tombstone first. "Old Cheen, I'll continue doing the things we didn't finish. Fate is funny. You definitely wouldn't guess that the hope of completing our plan lies with David Evans' son. Rest assured, I'm not alone. The brothers will fulfill your wish for you." Just as Sterling finished speaking, footsteps sounded from the distance. He looked up, smiled at the two approaching figures, and said softly, "You two are late." "You came early," one of them said. "You know my situation over there. Being able to come is good enough," the other man, wearing sunglasses, said disdainfully. Sterling turned his head and introduced them to Preston Cheen. "These two were also your father's close friends when he was alive. Dr. Horace Kane and Louis." Preston Cheen looked at the men before him and gave a slight nod. By now, his memories had fully returned. He recalled that his father, Patriarch Cheen, had several sworn brothers he had never met. These men standing before him must be them. Sterling saw the recognition in his eyes and spoke softly. "When you were born, your father had already established the Cheen Directorate in NYC, ruling over everything in that shadow world. To be safe, the rest of us cut all ties with him to prevent any collateral damage should things go south. That's why you've never met us. It's normal. You just need to know that you can trust us with your life." As he spoke, Dr. Horace Kane and Louis stepped forward, placing their own bouquets of flowers before the tombstone. Louis broke the silence first. "Sterling's right. We all grew up wearing the same pair of pants, so to speak." Dr. Kane nodded. "Back then, we were young and didn't know how high the sky was or how thick the earth was. We just wanted to build something massive. But honestly, most of us didn't have the chops for it. Only Sterling and your father had the vision and the raw talent. It was under their leadership that we became who we are today. Otherwise, who knows? We might still be hawking knockoff watches on a street corner." Preston remained silent, listening intently to the stories of these men. His eyes filled with a mix of longing and pride. His father was worth that pride. Sterling looked at Preston and asked, "Do you know what a sovereign syndicate really is?" Preston paused, surprised. After a moment, he hesitated. "The strongest family in the country?" "Yes, but not entirely," Sterling said slowly. "The concept of sovereign syndicate was something your father and I came up with together. Its purpose was singular: internal stability." His gaze drifted into the past. Decades ago, this country was facing threats from both inside and out. It wasn't nearly as prosperous as it is today. People were struggling, and foreign factions were constantly trying to carve out pieces of our territory. Your dad and I, we couldn't stand seeing the country like that, and we couldn't stand the chaos in the underworld. So, with all the arrogance of youth, we proposed building a force, a power that would use authority and brute strength to suppress any unrest within our borders. That force was the Cheen Directorate, the original sovereign syndicate. Preston's eyes widened, shaken to his core. He had been born into the Cheen family, yet he never knew they carried such a heavy burden. And to think the men standing right in front of him were the architects of it all. Louis chimed in, "Don't think of us as saints. We couldn't have done it alone. The government was pushing the waves from behind." Sterling nodded. "Exactly. To make our vision a reality, Louis enlisted in the military. He climbed the ranks until he caught the eye of the top brass. Through his introduction, we made contact with the government and struck a deal. The government would handle the border wars and external threats. We would build the Cheen Directorate to suppress internal chaos. The current state of the country, with its powerful syndicates and minimal official interference, is a direct result of that agreement. Sterling sighed heavily. But after all these years of cooperation, they're still fighting on the frontier while we failed on our end. Preston frowned, unable to hold back his question. So what happened back then? Why did my father die? What is the truth behind the Manhattan incident? The eyes of the three men dimmed with sorrow. Sterling sighed, stepped forward, and placed a hand on the cold tombstone. His voice was low. Everything was going according to plan. But 10 years ago, your father contacted me suddenly. He realized something was wrong in NYC. The usually scattered families were showing signs of uniting against the Chin Directorate. More importantly, he sensed a puppet master behind the curtain, manipulating everything. He was worried things would spiral, so he took the risk to contact me, asking for help. Horace and the others knew, and they wanted to come too, but I stopped them. Until we knew the full picture, we couldn't expose everyone. So I went to NYC alone. Using military clearance, I founded the BSO. On the surface, it was to monitor the families. In reality, your father and I were investigating the source of the rot. We spent nearly 3 years. And just as we were closing in on the mastermind, the Manhattan incident erupted. Sterling clenched his fist, his tone turning chilling. That person had been watching us from the shadows the entire time. Just as we were about to succeed, they struck without mercy. Their power, it was enough to blot out the sun. You know what happened after that? Preston gritted his teeth, suppressing the rage boiling in his chest. Who was it? Who killed my father? I can't tell you, Sterling said, standing up straight. Because I only have suspects. I have no evidence. And telling you now won't help. If that person truly has that much power, we can't touch them yet. The country can't afford another massive upheaval right now. Preston closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Having walked through the valley of death, he was no longer the ignorant boy he used to be. He knew that doing the wrong thing at the right time was foolish. Then, what should I do next? Preston asked. What can I do for you all? Sterling sighed. If I had my way, I'd want you to do nothing. But I know that's impossible for you. Next, go find Leo Evans. Find Leo? Preston frowned. Why him? In his memory, he had only met Leo a couple of times, and neither was a fond memory. Back when he was a mindless experiment in Viridian City, Leo had pinned him to the ground and beaten the daylight out of him. Following him might give you some direction, Sterling said softly. After all, even I learned a few things from that kid. Sterling couldn't help but smile. The old Sterling would never have dreamed of blowing up a mountain. Preston pondered for a moment before nodding decisively. All right, I'll find Leo Evans. Don't rush. Don't go looking for him right this second, Louis said, scratching his head. He just entered Bedlam, and he's got a heap of trouble surrounding him. Dr. Kane nodded in agreement. True. Wait until you're ready. It won't be too late. Seeing their stance, Preston didn't argue. He nodded obediently. After lingering a while longer, Louis spoke up first. I have to head out. I can't be away from my post for too long. Let's go together then, Dr. Kane said. When everything is finished, we'll come back to see Old Chin. The group descended the mountain. Just as they reached the foot, Louis' phone rang. He answered it, and his expression froze. What did you say? Louis' eyes bulged, disbelief written all over his face as he listened to the voice on the other end. After a long pause, his hand trembled as he lowered the phone. Through gritted teeth, he hissed, Leo Evans. You son of a bitch. Sterling saw the reaction and immediately guessed what had happened. Leo had sold Louis out. He just hadn't expected it to happen so fast. I warned you not to underestimate him. Now let's see how you handle this, Sterling said, shaking his head with a chuckle. I'm staying out of this. You're on your own. With that, Sterling got into his car and floored it, leaving without a backward glance. Hey, Sterling, don't you dare. Louis reached out, watching Sterling's taillights fade into the distance, a look of despair on his face. Seeing Sterling abandon him, Louis turned his pleading gaze toward Dr. Kane. Horace, you. Don't look at me. I just sell medicine. I can't help you, Dr. Kane said, dusting off his pants and dragging Preston into his car. In moments, Louis was left standing alone in the wind, messy and confused. The call had come from his informant planted next to Shiro Kiri. Half an hour ago, One Eye had met with Shiro and handed over a video recording. Damn that Louis. How dare he play me like this? Shiro Kiri had reportedly almost vomited blood from rage after watching the video and immediately issued a kill order for Louis. If Louis had been in Bedlam at that moment, he would have been a turtle in a jar. Motherfucker, Leo, you bastard, isn't this a bit too dark? Louis gritted his teeth, muttering, we were chatting like old pals a few hours ago, and you turn around and sell me out? How can someone so young have a heart so black? You don't have a single virtue of the younger generation. After cursing Leo a few dozen times, Louis looked up at the sky and sighed deeply. What now? This was humiliating. He had roamed the underworld for years, only to be backstabbed by a rookie. The key was, Leo didn't just sell him out. He washed his own hands clean in the process. Louis got to be the villain, Louis took the blame, and Leo got to play the innocent victim. Fuck this. Louis leaned against his car and lit a cigarette, his face a mask of misery. He knew he couldn't go back to Bedlam. Master Louis had been dethroned by Master Leo, and the method was despicably brilliant. After finishing the cigarette, Louis tossed the butt. Forget it. I don't care anymore. Let it be. I was getting tired of playing anyway. Consider it my contribution to the next generation. I won't lower myself to argue with that little brat. With that thought, Louis hopped into his car, cracking his knuckles. I've wandered North Point for so long. It's not like this is my only identity. No, I can't swallow this. I've never been played like this in my life. Little bastard, you just wait. Grandpa Louis is going to toy with you later. Louis stomped on the gas pedal and sped off, destination unknown. Meanwhile, in the courtyard of Master Silas's home, Mr. Evans, Solby, I missed you so much, Mr. Evans. Marco hugged Leo's leg, snot and tears streaming down his face, refusing to let go. Julian Reed looked at Leo and asked, "What are you doing here?" Master Silas observed Leo with curiosity. So this was the legendary demon King Leo. He looked quite amiable, which fit the characteristics of a true demon perfectly. As the saying goes, the cleaner the surface, the filthier the heart. Just look at Julian and Sterling. I'm here to see Master Silas. Leo smiled kindly at Silas, casually kicking Marco aside. Leo stepped forward and shook Silas's hand with immense familiarity. Master Silas, long time no see. I've heard so much about you. A dragon among men, a peerless talent. Silas's mouth twitched as Leo pumped his hand. We're doomed. Hearing this opening, Silas knew the kid was up to no good. Just say what you want. Help me make a pair of wedding rings. Oh, just that? That's no problem. Use this. Leo naturally pulled the mithril pistol from his jacket and handed it to Silas. Silas. Shane Quill. Julian rubbed his forehead and sighed. For a moment, the silence was deafening. What's wrong? Is this not good material? Leo blinked, looking at the legendary weapon in his hand. I heard this thing was pretty rare. Silas turned his head mechanically to look at Julian, his small eyes filled with massive confusion. Is this kid joking? You want me to melt the mithril pistol for a pair of rings? Do you know how precious this is? Silas wanted to scream. You could buy a mountain of top-tier gem rings with just a scraping of this metal. And you want solid mithril rings? That's too damn extravagant. Seeing the situation, Julian had to step in. Leo, the mithril pistol is the key to the hoard. It has a major purpose. Silas let out a breath of relief. At least Julian had some sense. But Julian's next sentence cut off the oxygen to Silas's brain. Wait until we're done with it. Then let Silas melt it for you. Right now isn't the time. Silas's eyes bugged out. What did you say? You mean after you're done, you actually want me to melt it? Why not? Once we're done, what's the point of keeping it? Julian said, dissatisfied. My sister's wedding ring has to be the best in the world. Exactly. My wife's ring has to be the best. Leo echoed. Silas was speechless. This was like using a tactical nuke to kill a mosquito. Off to the side, Shane Quill discreetly pulled out a notebook and wrote down the name Ava Reed. Note to self, do not offend this young miss. Or else these two, one having a sister complex and the other being a simp, will ensure I die without knowing how it happened. Seeing Leo casually pull out the mithril pistol as if it were a toy, both Master Silas and Shane Quill were speechless. Did he not know the chaos happening outside over this gun? And now he wanted to melt it down? No, are you too serious? Silas couldn't help but ask. Maybe reconsider? I have plenty of good materials here. Enough to make excellent rings. Good materials? Leo blinked, looking at the gun. Better than this thing? Well, no, but... Don't but me yet. Leo interrupted, casually grabbing a pastry from the table. Here, eat a biscuit first, then talk. Silas paused, took the biscuit, and ate it without suspicion. He hadn't eaten much today and was actually quite hungry. It was surprisingly good. He finished it in 2 bites. Leo watched him finish, then blinked. You ate my biscuit. Now you have to make me the rings. Cough, cough, cough. Silas's eyes widened, choking in disbelief. Motherfucker, do you have no shame at all? Looking at the situation, Silas realized he was cornered. He nodded helplessly. Fine. I'll make them for you later. Is that okay? But you should know, as a master craftsman, my labor fee isn't cheap. Didn't you just eat my biscuit? Leo said immediately. That covers the labor fee. Silas fell into a deep silence. He, a legendary firearms master, his labor was worth one biscuit. He was starting to regret eating it. It might have been the most expensive biscuit he would ever consume in his life. Are you serious? Silas stared hard at Leo. Leo nodded and opened his mouth to spout nonsense. That biscuit was brought all the way from my hometown in Ethelberg specifically for you. It's the thought that counts. Bullshit. That was clearly a biscuit from Warren's Biscuit Shack. I tasted it immediately. Exactly. Warren's Biscuit Shack, Ethelberg branch. The taste is unmatched, Leo said calmly, turning his head. If you don't believe me, ask Julian. He loved them back in Ethelberg. Silas turned to look at Julian. Julian nodded with a straight face. That's right. Haven't had one in a long time. I actually missed the taste. Not far away, Shane Quill, wearing sunglasses, dropped his jaw in awe. These people, absolutely shameless. No bottom line whatsoever. They are treating Silas like a fool. One Leo, one Julian. Getting the better of either one was nearly impossible. Together? Forget it. Silas stopped talking. He just wanted to vomit the biscuit back up. All right, it's settled. Julian said to Leo, you keep the mithril pistol for now. Everyone outside is looking for it. It's the key to the North Point hoard, something Gareth Granger dreams of getting. Gareth? If you didn't mention him, I would have forgotten about that snake, Leo said, twirling the gun. What's he up to lately? Hiding and plotting something nasty again. Who knows? I haven't paid much attention. Sterling is keeping an eye on him. TSK. You and Sterling are playing together now. Something like that. Shared goals. Julian nodded, then asked, what about you? What are you up to? Oh, that. Leo pointed to a pile of gifts next to Marco. Preparing to visit my grandfather and your aunt tomorrow. Julian paused, then said, since you're here, take me with you. Why not go now? I've got nothing else going on. Let's go then, Leo said, standing up to take Julian to the military base. Wait a minute. Julian rubbed his temples and sighed. That's a military restricted zone. You think it's appropriate to just drag me there without giving them a heads up? So what? I'm the prince of the base. And I'm a captain. Leo spread his hands. My grandpa is the general. Who am I afraid of? If I had known my grandpa's identity earlier, why would I have bothered taking exams? I would have just written an essay titled My General Grandpa and secured top marks easily. The group fell silent, suddenly feeling that keeping this secret from Leo had been the correct choice. Otherwise, who knew how spoiled this brat would have become? Shane Quill was even more speechless. What were the military brass thinking, letting Leo become a captain? Isn't that like inviting a wolf into the house? Or throwing a rat into a rice jar? Which idiot made that decision? Meanwhile, in the commander's office at Fort Defense. Achoo! Achoo! Commander Hayes rubbed his nose, frowning. What's going on? Getting a cold. The weather was fine. He shook his head and looked back at the computer screen. Military War Games, registration form. Commander Hayes smiled slightly, his fingers tapping the keyboard as he entered the name, Leo Evans. Knock, knock, knock. Come in, Hayes called out. Seeing the visitor, he smiled. Colonel Stone? What can I do for you? Commander, I'm here to file a request. Colonel Stone stood at attention, his voice booming. For this year's War Games, if Nighthawk leads the team, I guarantee we will secure a spot in the top 3. Hayes froze, his expression turning awkward. The notification about Leo becoming a captain hadn't been distributed to the whole base yet, so Stone didn't know. Cough well. Stone, about the War Games. I already have a candidate. What? Stone frowned instantly. You aren't thinking of letting Carol Evans lead the team again, are you? With all due respect, her squad is inferior to Nighthawks in every way. Letting them go wouldn't just mean missing the top 3. We might not even make the top 10. It's embarrassing for the base. Commander, you. Before Stone could finish, Hayes raised a hand to stop him. Slowly, he turned the monitor around so Stone could clearly see the registration form. Stone immediately saw the name in the designated field. 2 plain words. Now, Evans. Stone's eyes went wide with disbelief. Commander, what is the meaning of this? Stone snapped, pointing an angry finger at the name on the screen. Why is Leo Evans' name on the registration list? He isn't even a member of our military. How is he qualified to compete? Just because he's George Evans' grandson. Commander Hayes sighed and stood up to pacify him. Stone, calm down first. I haven't had a chance to notify you yet, but Leo has temporarily taken over Carol's position. He is now a captain. On what grounds? Stone was still furious. Every captain earned their rank through blood and sweat. You say a word, and he's a captain? Is that fair? Hayes's gaze sharpened. And you, Stone? Was Nighthawk's appointment as captain entirely fair? Stone paused, then retorted, Nighthawk is strong. Everyone respects him. Naturally, he became captain. So, under your command, as long as someone is strong, they can be captain? Is that what you mean, Stone? Hayes's voice was calm, but carried a crushing weight. Stone swallowed hard. I just feel Leo doesn't deserve to be a captain. He doesn't even deserve to be in the military. Thwack. Hayes threw a file onto the desk in front of him. Read it yourself. This is Leo's dossier. Do you really think I'm a senile old man making random decisions? Stone scoffed. In terms of strength, Leo beat Major Griffin, I won't deny that. But in terms of merits, although Leo hasn't been on the battlefield, the combat he's seen isn't any less than yours, Hayes interrupted. Stone scanned the report, disbelief washing over his face. Single-handedly fought against 3 major families. Eliminated 50% of their combat power. Is this real? Hayes nodded. Talent like this. Only by sending him to the frontier can we unleash his full potential. Stone gritted his teeth. Even so, he's only strong individually. The war games place a huge emphasis on squad tactics and team survival. Carroll's squad, their skills just aren't up to par. Hayes sighed. How about this? Let Nighthawk take his squad and fight a simulation match against Leo's squad right here at the base. Winner takes the spot. How does that sound? This was the best compromise. Let the 2 hard heads collide and see which one breaks. Stone hesitated for a moment, then nodded decisively. Fine. We'll do it that way. Leo was strong, sure, but Sarge Sue and that crew were mediocre at best. In a team battle, Nighthawk wouldn't necessarily lose. Stone took a deep breath. Commander, when Leo loses, I hope you keep your word and let Nighthawk compete. Don't worry, Hayes nodded. I might want to go back on my word. Watching Stone leave, Hayes exhaled a long breath, pinching the bridge of his nose, looking worried. What a mess. Everyone feels aggrieved. Who understands my difficulties? Hayes was truly suffering. If he had any other choice, would he resort to this? The base was raising a bunch of divas. In previous years, General Evans' son, David, led the team. Every time, they were eliminated in the preliminaries. He'd shamelessly say, they were too strong, I couldn't beat them. Yet his entire squad would come out without a scratch, barely even out of breath. Did he go to fight? A picnic has more physical activity than that. They didn't even try to act. Then Hayes switched to Carol Evans. Even more ridiculous. She treated the competition like a vacation and forfeited immediately. Because of that, Hayes was scolded by the general of the army for an hour like a grandson. And the other squads in the base, seeing these 2 role models, naturally followed suit. It got to the point where Hayes just gave up. Let it rot. But this time was different. Hayes saw hope. Didn't Leo want to go to the frontier? Let him go. And grab first place in the war games while he's at it. Not too much to ask, right? Please, God. Just once. Just this once. Hayes clasped his hands together, looking pleadingly at the ceiling. I've been suffocated for years. Let me hold my head high just this once. Meanwhile, Leo and Julian were on their way to the base. My mom went on vacation somewhere, so you'll probably only see my grandfather, Leo said casually, looking out the window. I already told him. He's on the base. I'll take you to him. Julian nodded, then suddenly asked, Does your grandfather know you left my sister alone in NYC? Leo snapped his head around, looking at Julian in disbelief. Seriously, brother-in-law? We were united a second ago, and now you stab me in the back. Technically, General Evans knew. But if Julian, representing the bride's family, brought it up, the dynamic changed completely. Your grandson left his fiancée alone in NYC. General Evans would have to make a stance. A scolding was inevitable, maybe even a beating. Leo immediately sensed Julian's malicious intent. Don't do that. It's your first time meeting him. Doing that will damage your image in his eyes, Leo whispered. Besides, I didn't have a choice. Julian glanced at him sideways. I didn't say I was going to do anything. Why are you panicking? TSK. With that attitude, you'll never find a partner, Leo cursed under his breath. Julian turned to look at Leo. My mom isn't rushing me. Why should I look for one? Fine, you're amazing. Enjoy being single forever, Leo retorted sarcastically. Then he turned to look ahead. By the way, Marco, how are things going with Quinn? Marco, who was driving, jumped at the sudden question. Me and Quinn. Don't tell me you haven't succeeded yet. Are you capable or not? Oh, Mr. Evans, I just haven't found the right opportunity. Ask Julian for tips. He's so smart. Surely he knows how to woo a girl. Leo looked at Julian with a teasing grin. Right, Julian? Marco looked at Julian through the rearview mirror. eyes full of expectation. Right, mister. Reed is brilliant. He must have advice. However, he saw dark lines forming on Julian's face as he remained silent. Marco instantly didn't dare to speak. Leo whistled cheerfully while looking out the window. When Marco drove up to the military base gate, the guard on duty raised a hand to stop them. "Hello. Please show your identification," the guard said, standing ramrod straight. Julian looked at Leo. Leo looked at the guard and said, I'm the captain for Sarge, Sue, and the others. Please show your identification," the guard repeated impassively. Leo was in a bind. He'd just taken office today. Where'd he get ID? The appointment letter was back at the hotel. Just then, a voice rang out. "Leo, you can have Sarge Sue come out to get you." Leo turned around. An SUV had pulled up behind them. The door opened, and a man with graying hair stepped out slowly. Seeing the man, the guard immediately saluted, voice booming. "Colonel Grant." "At ease. Good work, Guanwen Lin," Colonel Grant nodded with a smile, handing over his own ID. Leo stepped out of the car, observing the stranger. Name implies rank. "Colonel. That must be Colonel Grant, one of the 3 top officers at the base." "You must be Colonel Grant," Leo smiled. "I often hear my grandfather mention you. He says you're good friends." Grant looked kindly at him. "I've been wanting to meet you too. Haven't had a chance to congratulate you on becoming captain." "Luck, pure luck." Leo scratched his head, putting on a simple, honest face. However, from the moment Grant appeared, Leo had been analyzing him. This warm, grandfatherly attitude didn't feel fake. He seemed to genuinely care about Leo like an old friend child. Is Grant not the spy? Leo wondered internally. But if it's not Grant, and it's not my grandpa, then it can only be Colonel Stone? If that's the case, should I communicate Shiro Kiri's plan to target Grant with the military first? He had assumed Grant was the spy, but now it didn't seem likely. While Leo was thinking, the guard finished checking Grant's ID and handed it back. Checking ID is base protocol. Even a colonel isn't exempt, Grant told Leo. "You're new, so your ID probably isn't ready. Ask Sarge Sue to bring the paperwork signed by your grandfather to sign you in." "That much trouble?" Leo frowned. He remembered entering the base smoothly the last few times. But back then, he was either with General Evans or Commander Hayes personally. Naturally, there were no obstacles. With no other choice, he called Sarge Sue. Watching Leo make the call, Grant smiled. "By the way, Leo, who is in the car with you?" "Oh, my brother-in-law. He happened to be in North Point, so I brought him to visit my grandpa." "I see. That's good, that's good." Grant looked envious. Old George is lucky. Both his son and grandson are so capable. "Grandpa Grant, you must have a grandson too, right?" Leo asked curiously. "Is he in the military too?" "Him." Grant sighed, helpless. "He's at the frontier. His parents died on the frontier. He's stubborn, so he went there a long time ago. He barely comes home once a year, and when he does, he only stays for a day or two. I'm getting old, retiring in 2 years. At this point, I just hope he stays alive. Nothing else matters." Grant looked at Leo apologetically. "Sorry, when people get old, they talk too much. Especially seeing an old friend's grandson. I can't shut my mouth." "It's okay, Grandpa Grant." Leo shook his head. "Your grandson fighting at the frontier. He must be outstanding." "He's nowhere near as outstanding as you," Grant smiled. "I heard you beat Major Griffin. My grandson is about your age, but his strength is leagues behind yours." He sighed again, eyes filled with longing. "When I retire in 2 years, I'll apply to the veterans camp at the frontier. Maybe I could be closer to him then. Watch over him." Leo nodded. Just then, Sarge Sue arrived late in a jeep. "Sorry, see, Captain, I forgot about the protocol." Sarge Sue quickly handed the paperwork to the guard. "This is our new captain, Leo Evans. Here are the documents signed by the general." The guard verified the papers, had Marco and the others register, and then let them through. "Colonel Grant, I'll take our captain in now," Sarge Sue saluted. "Grandpa Grant, let's chat next time." "All right, see you." Grant waved at them with a smile, then got into his car. After they drove off, Leo suddenly turned to Sarge Sue. "Sarge, how much do you know about Colonel Grant?" "Colonel Grant? He and General Evans have been comrades for decades," Sarge Sue recalled. "His reputation on the base is excellent. He's kind and upright. I heard he donates all his allowances and salary to the frontline soldiers at the frontier and lives very frugally himself. Everyone respects him. Even the hot-tempered Colonel Stone has to respectfully call him Elder Grant." Leo nodded, silent, his mind racing. His gut told him Grant wasn't the spy, but the spy was either Grant or Stone. "Looks like I need to find time to make contact with this Stone guy," Leo planned. He had to identify the suspicious points on both men before Shiro Kiri made his move. Soon, the group arrived at General Evans' office. Julian walked in carrying gifts, a polite smile on his face. Hello, General Evans. I'm Julian Reed, Ava's brother. Hey, hello. You child, why did you bring gifts? Come sit, come sit. It was clear General Evans valued this meeting. He had even spruced up his appearance. Leo smiled and introduced Marco. Grandpa, this is Marco, also my friend. Hello, General. Marcos Maíz. Good kid, sit down. General Evans ushered them in, then frantically rummaged through his cabinet. I heard young people don't like tea. You like milk tea and coffee, right? He pulled out several packets of instant coffee and milk tea, clearly newly bought. What do you want to drink? I'll make it. I sent someone to buy these. Don't know if they're any good. The dignified general of the North Point military base looked as flustered as a child. Julian observed everything quietly. He understood. This was all General Evans' love for Leo. Seeing General Evans fumbling to tear open the instant coffee packets, Leo quickly stepped forward. Grandpa, let me do it. It's fine, I got it. General Evans waved him off, tore the packet, and poured it into a cup. Leo took the cup and walked to the water dispenser to brew it. Even if the instant stuff wasn't great, it was the thought that counted. By the way, Grandpa, do you know where my mom went? Leo asked while pouring water. He only knew she was on leave. Her? Probably went back to Ethelberg, General Evans grumbled. There's nothing to do there. Don't know why she ran back. Leo raised an eyebrow. Ethelberg? TSK. She probably went to find Julia Reed to live the life of playing mahjong, shopping, and sleeping in every day. Sarge Sue and the others would be envious. Leo was envious. Julian Reed, right? Good name, General Evans said to Julian. I can tell just by looking at you that you've got a bright future. You flatter me, General. Julian shook his head with a wry smile. I've been in North Point for a while, but only came to visit now. I hope you aren't angry. What are you saying? I'm happy you came. General Evans said righteously. Besides, I heard Leo caused you a lot of trouble back in Ethelberg. I haven't had a chance to thank you. Julian glanced sideways at Leo. Yeah, trouble is putting it mildly. I even gave him my sister to take care of. Leo blinked, feigning ignorance, as if he didn't catch the look in Julian's eyes. Marco sat obediently on the side, sipping his coffee in small gulps. He couldn't really join this conversation. He thought he was just a driver, but Leo didn't treat him like an outsider. They chatted about family matters for a while. Julian shared some of Leo's exploits in Ethelberg, and General Evans listened with gusto, wishing Julian would never stop. Knock, knock, knock. A knock interrupted them. Sarge Sue's voice came from outside. General, someone to see you. Not seeing them, General Evans snapped. Can't you see I'm busy? Whoever it is, send them away. It's Colonel Stone. Stone? What's he doing here if he has nothing better to do? Tell him to go find his sugar daddy Hayes if he has a problem. Outside the door, Sarge Sue's mouth twitched. He looked awkwardly at the man behind him. Colonel Stone's face was iron gray, fists clenched, clearly enraged by the comment. He came to the base with Commander Hayes, so he was naturally closer to Hayes. Because he was young and the base was initially cliquish, rumors flew that Hayes was his godfather or sugar daddy. But since Stone became colonel, those rumors had vanished. Hearing General Evans bring it up again made Stone furious. Colonel Stone, maybe come back another time? Sarge Sue asked carefully. Boss, can you watch your mouth? The guy is standing right behind me. George Evans, this is a military base. Watch your language. Stone barked. Hearing Stone's voice, General Evans was surprised. He didn't expect the guy to be right outside. However, he didn't panic. He calmly opened the door. Colonel Stone, you looking for me? General Evans acted as if nothing had happened. Stone stared at him. Do you dare repeat what you just said in my face? What did I say? General Evans blinked and looked at Sarge Sue. Did I say anything? Sarge Sue shook his head like a rattledrum. Even with a knife to his throat, he'd say no. Without a recording, who could prove it? Stone suppressed his anger. I'm not here for you. I'm looking for Leo Evans. Inside the room, Leo raised an eyebrow. Looking for me? I'm not your daddy. Why look for me? Innocent Leo actually thought Hayes was his sugar daddy. Stone looked past the general and saw Leo. Leo, take your men and fight a match against Nighthawk Squad. The winner gets qualified for the War Games. Hearing this, Leo's expression turned serious. He stood up slowly, walked up to Stone, and with immense gravity, asked word by word, what the hell are the War Games? You. Stone's eyes bulged. If I hadn't caught it, Hayes would have submitted the list. And you're telling me you don't even know what it is? Are you kidding me? Leo, stop joking. Stone grimaced. Commander Hayes is ready to send you to compete. Don't tell me you know nothing. Leo spread his hands, looking innocent. I really don't know anything. He turned to look at General Evans with confusion. General Evans sucked in a cold breath. Damn you, Hayes. I wonder why you suddenly made Leo a captain. That was your scheme. You look honest, but played dirty. General Evans briefly explained the war games to Leo. So, as long as I get in the top 10, I get a guaranteed spot at the frontier. Leo rubbed his chin. Is this the only way to go to the frontier? Of course not. General Evans shook his head. But going through the war games gets you more attention. It's like the difference between the honors class and the regular class in school. So, connections work too? Leo asked bluntly. In my high school honors class, you either had good grades or good connections. General Evans nodded. Pretty much. Some people use connections to put their kids in strong teams, so they have an easier time at the frontier. While General Evans and Leo chatted, Colonel Stone was left standing in the doorway, treated like thin air. They didn't even ask him to sit. Not that there was room. General Evans' office was small, and with Julian's group, it was packed. Are you done talking? Stone finally snapped. Leo, I'll be straight with you. There is only one spot for the war games. The Evans family has made our North Point base a laughingstock for the past few years. I will not allow you to lead a team and humiliate us again. Fight Nighthawk. If you lose, surrender the spot. Leo turned to General Evans again. What does he mean? Evans' family made the base a laughingstock. General Evans looked awkward. In previous years, it was either his son David or Carol leading the team. One sandbagged, the other treated it like a vacation and forfeited. Even with thick skin, General Evans felt embarrassed. Sarge Sue buried his head low, afraid to be noticed. He was one of the people enjoying those vacations. It felt great at the time. Why fight hard when you probably won't make top 10 anyway? I'll tell you about that later, General Evans whispered. Family shame shouldn't be aired in public. Leo didn't mind. He turned to Stone. I was planning to go to the frontier anyway, so this competition is important to me. Since you want fairness, let's fight. I just wonder if Nighthawk dares to fight me again. He's your only good soldier. I'd hate to give him PTSD. Wouldn't look good for you. Big talk. Stone sneered. You are strong, I admit that. But is everyone in your squad as strong as you? He glanced at Sarge Sue. Sock Sue, why look at me? Just because you're a colonel doesn't mean I won't. Okay, I won't fight you. Wait till I get promoted. I'll kick your ass. Talking is useless. Let's fight. Leo cracked his neck. Since I'm at the base, let's get it over with. I have things to do later. General Evans wanted to say something, but Stone cut indecisively. Good. Half an hour. Base, rear mountain. He turned and left to notify Nighthawk. After Stone left, Sarge Sue asked nervously, Captain, are we really doing this? Leo glanced at him. It's just Nighthawk. Easy kill. But you guys just need to quack. Got it. Inside, General Evans felt conflicted. If Leo won, he'd go to the war games, and then the frontier, danger. If he lost, well, that felt bad too. Forget it. You're grown up. Do what you want, General Evans sighed. But promise me, prioritize your own safety, okay? Julian stood up, smiling. I assume a military internal dispute isn't suitable for us to watch. General Evans paused. Indeed, the rear mountain was restricted. I have some business back at East Side Ridge anyway, so I won't intrude, Julian said smoothly. All right, Leo, and I will walk you out, General Evans said apologetically. Next time, we'll pick a nice restaurant. I know a place. We can have a drink. He mimed drinking a shot and raised an eyebrow at Julian. Julian nodded. Okay, General, you call. I'm there. Leo was curious. He hadn't seen Julian drink. As they walked out, Leo secretly texted Ava. Leo, Ava, how's your brother's alcohol tolerance? Ava, why? You want to get him drunk? Leo, would I do that? Ava, I haven't seen him drink, but Mom said he's a lightweight. 1 cup and he's out. Leo, surprised Pikachu face. Ava, what are you planning? I'm warning you, don't get my brother drunk. Leo, I won't. I swear. If my grandpa gets him drunk, that has nothing to do with me. Leo smirked, imagining a drunk Julian. He had to record it and post it in the Reed family group chat. Ruin his reputation. Leo chuckled aloud, drawing attention. Mr. Evans, what's wrong? Why so happy? Marco asked. Nothing. Just thinking about beating up Nighthawk makes me smile. Julian gave Leo a deep look, but said nothing. Soon, they reached the gate. All right, General Evans. We'll head out. Our car is just ahead, Julian smiled. I'll visit again when I have the chance. General Evans nodded warmly. Yes, come often. This old man gets lonely. I welcome you young folks anytime. Sarge Sue gathered Private Cloud and the others and headed to the rear mountain. After Julian and Marco left, General Evans told Leo, you must be careful. Team combat is different from the arena. The goal is to capture the opposing commander's badge. According to wargame rules, the number of surviving squad members counts heavily towards the score. Even if you get their badge, if your team suffers heavy casualties, you still lose. Leo nodded thoughtfully. That rule explained why Stone was confident. If I'm guessing correctly, Stone will order Nighthawk to avoid you and kill your team members as fast as possible, General Evans said. Be prepared. Think of a tactic. Leo nodded, but didn't take it to heart. Stone's tactic was sound, and Nighthawk could execute it. But they ignored one major issue. Leo looked toward the rear mountain, the corner of his mouth lifting. I'm about to give them a massive shock. At the base's rear mountain, both teams had assembled, waiting only for Leo. Sarge, what's going on? Private Cloud looked confused. Why are we suddenly fighting Nighthawk squad? The others looked equally clueless. They had been dragged here with zero intel. Sarge Sue glanced at Cloud and said simply, fighting for the war game spot. Winner goes. What? People fight for that. Cloud looked dumbfounded. If they want to go, let them go. The others nodded in agreement. Under the influence of Carol and David Evans, they had been assimilated into the culture of slackers. Shut up, Sarge Sue groaned. This time fits differently. Captain seems to want to participate. Cloud paused. So what do we do? Actually fight Nighthawk. Sarge, then later. Captain said, we are responsible for quacking. He is responsible for the killing. Roger that. Cloud's heart, which had just risen, settled back down. Compared to their relaxed, slacker vibe, Nighthawk's side was solemn. Nighthawk, this is your last chance, Stone said intensely. One-on-one, you aren't Leo's match. But in a team battle, your odds are high. Their commander badge will be on Leo. Don't fight Leo. Eliminate the others first. Even if you can't get the badge, as long as you survive until the time limit and inflict higher casualties, we win. Before Nighthawk could reply, Zeke's phone jumped out. Don't worry, Colonel Stone. We've got this. Zeke grinned cruelly. He's used to fighting alone. He has no advantage in a team fight. I'll make him suffer. He won't be able to fly out of this one. Stone glanced at him, then said, don't get cocky. Bring your A-game. If you lose a team fight to them, you might as well commit seppuku. Meanwhile, Commander Hayes managed to slip away from his busy schedule to spectate. Sigh, what a mess. Hayes shook his head, looking at the battle-ready Nighthawk squad, then at Sarge Sue's group. Sue's group was huddled in a tight circle, whispering mysteriously. Discussing tactics? Hayes was surprised, and somewhat relieved. Sarge Sue's group might still be salvageable. They knew the gravity of the situation. They hadn't been completely corrupted by Carol. Little did Hayes know, if he walked closer, he would have coughed up blood. Pair of threes. Pair of eights. Pass. What the hell kind of hand is that? A pair of eights beats you? Who shuffled? Shut up. Pass. Straight. 2 cards left. Your turn, brother. Don't you have a straight? Crush him. Crush your grandpa. 2 cards left. Don't you know what that means? If he doesn't have a joker, I'll eat shit. Screw you. Yes, Sarge Sue and the boys were bored out of their minds, so they huddled up to play cards. Discuss tactics? Non-existent. The captain said they only needed to quack. Top. 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 Footsteps approached. Nighthawk's team looked over. Leo and General Evans were strolling toward them leisurely. Now, Nighthawk gritted his teeth, staring sharply at Leo. Zeke's phone mirrored the hostility. Now, you're finally here. Zeke jumped out again, mocking. Ready to face your defeat? Leo looked at him, frowned, and made a show of trying to remember. After a long moment, he asked confusedly, who are you again? Puffed. Zeke almost died of anger right there. You bully. Sorry, I really forgot your name. Leo apologized insincerely. But I remember you. You're the guy who walked right into a trap in Westlake City, got arrested, then got played like a fiddle and got your master killed, right? Silence fell over the crowd. Everyone looked at Zeke. Zeke trembled with rage. Having his black history exposed in public, especially the part about getting director Sean killed, was unbearable. Now, I'll kill you. Get back here, Colonel Stone said, face dark. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Zeke suppressed his fury and walked back gloomily. Stone then looked at General Evans. Since everyone is here, let's begin. Rules are clear. Leo nodded. General Evans had briefed him on the way. Sarge Sue and his team stood straight. The moment General Evans appeared, the cards vanished. Their eyes were firm, completely different from their loose state a moment ago. Commander Hayes, please officiate, Stone said. Hayes nodded. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing who wins. Since everyone is ready, I declare this match officially SD. Wait a minute. A voice interrupted Hayes. Everyone looked over. Leo had his hand raised like an elementary school student. What is it? Hayes asked patiently. Not ready. No, Leo shook his head. Just a few questions. First time doing this, better to ask clearly. Hayes nodded. Go ahead. Leo's first question turned stone and Nighthawk's faces green. Can I use explosives in the match? Everyone was dumbfounded. Bro, what are you doing? This is a competition, not a war. Hayes' mouth twitched. The purpose is selection, not raising venomous insects. To ensure safety, even the guns are specially made to be non-lethal. So, explosives and weapons of mass destruction are banned. Grenades? Leo asked. No. Then, is it possible that during the match, I accidentally find some explosives? Can I use those? No. And there are no such accidents. Hayes had black lines on his forehead. What is this kid planning? However, the next scene silenced everyone. Leo looked disappointed and pulled 2 grenades out of his jacket pocket, handing them to General Evans. Good thing I asked. Otherwise, he'd say I fouled and kick me out. General Evans dumbly accepted the grenades, his mind blank. The others were equally stunned. What's wrong? Leo saw their expressions. Is there a problem? You are the problem. What kind of normal person just casually pulls 2 grenades out of a denim jacket? Nighthawk squad looked at Stone with blank faces. Are we really fighting this guy? Seriously? Even Commander Hayes' face darkened. Leo, I reiterate, this is a friendly match, not a war zone. If you have any other dangerous items, take them out now. Leo blinked, thought for a moment, and pulled a small bottle of unknown liquid from his pants pocket. Does this count? I don't know what it is. He had swiped this from Master Silas's place, along with the grenades. Silas ate his biscuit. Stealing some stuff was fair trade. Hayes waved a hand, and someone stepped up to inspect it. The inspector took the bottle, studied it, and his face changed. This liquid is poison, extremely toxic. It kills instantly. The way everyone looked at Leo changed. What the hell are you trying to do? See, Coronel. Do we really have to fight him? Someone asked Stone weakly. Are you sure it's safe? Stone remained silent, staring at the innocent-looking Leo with a dark expression. Poison. Leo looked surprised. Damn, I thought it was some energy drink. Almost drank it. How could Silas leave such dangerous stuff lying around? The inspector twitched. This stuff looks homemade. Where did you get it? Leo blinked. Found on the road. The inspector looked at Hayes, speechless. Hayes had a headache. He had a bad feeling. Was letting Leo join the military too rash? Then Leo patted himself down and pulled out a pile of throwing knives and daggers. Can I use these? Leo held a dagger, mocking them. If I can't even use these, you guys should go home and drink milk. No bloodlust at all, and you want to go to the battlefield. Silence. Is this about bloodlust? Hayes sighed. Cold weapons are allowed. Guns are modified. Other than that, don't mess around. He was genuinely afraid a small competition would turn into a massacre. How many self-criticism essays would he have to write? All right, both sides enter the field. Prepare yourselves. Hayes waved. The field was the entire rear mountain. For 2 small squads, it was plenty. Team captains, come get your commander badges. Leo and Nighthawk approached Hayes. They received the badges, replicas, marked red and blue. Leo was red. Leo, this time, I will win, Nighthawk said solemnly. Leo waved him off. Sure. Good luck. Seeing Leo completely disregard him, Nighthawk clenched his fist and turned away without a word. The teams headed east and west respectively. After they left, Hayes rubbed his temples, feeling uneasy. Standing next to him, General Evans and Colonel Stone were also tense. Let's go to the monitoring room, Hayes said softly. Let's see how these 2 squads perform. Captain, what's the tactic? Inside the red base, Private Cloud asked Leo. What do we need to do? Leo picked up a sniper rifle, tested its weight, and asked casually, what do you guys usually do during the war games? We've never participated, Cloud said awkwardly. The red team usually took us on vacation. Leo paused, speechless. So, you have 0 experience. Do you, Captain? That's not important. Leo slung the sniper rifle over his back. How many on the other side? Counting Nighthawk, 30. Okay, let's go. Leo nodded and started walking out. Wait, Captain. Sak su sao that? What's going out like this? No tactic. Fighting Nighthawk requires tactics. Go out and find a place to play. What if we get wiped out? Even if you're all wiped out, I'm still alive, right? If I annihilate the other side, isn't it over? Annihilate. Sarge Su looked blank. It was a rare word to hear in this context. No squad had ever been annihilated in the history of the war games. That would be a joke for the ages. Yes, exactly. Leo nodded slowly. Our tactic is total annihilation. Leave no one standing. Meanwhile, at the blue base, compared to Leo, Nighthawk's tactics were rigorous. If you encounter Leo, report his position immediately and everyone get as far away from that area as possible. If you encounter anyone else from red team, kill them as fast as possible. If you encounter Leo, pray. Nighthawk paused, then continued. We have 30 people. Split into 10 squads of 3. That way, even if you meet Leo, you'll have time to fire a signal flare and won't be insta-killed. Squads 1 to 7. Search and destroy enemy members. Squads 8 to 10. Scout and roam. In the monitoring room, Commander Hayes and the others watched the screens. Colonel Stone nodded approvingly at Nighthawk's deployment. As a captain, Nighthawk can calmly formulate reasonable tactics, and his squad members cooperate actively. Stone looked at General Evans meaningfully. A squad like this is the best choice for the war games. They looked at the red team situation, and General Evans' face darkened instantly. Leo was leading Sarge Sue and the others out of the base loosely, looking like they were on a hiking trip. Zero tension. After a long while, General Evans squeezed out a sentence. Leo just arrived at the base. It's normal not to have field combat experience. He doesn't, but Sarge Sue and the rest don't either. Stone mocked, all spoiled by Carol. A team like this is an embarrassment to North Point. Stone, shut up. Hayes scolded. The two teams haven't even met yet, and you two are already fighting? Where's the decorum? Do that again, and I'll make you both write essays. General Evans scoffed. Fine. Like I'm afraid. Hayes' face darkened. As long as you don't make Sarge Sue write it for you. Did I make him write it? He saw I was working hard and grabbed it to write it himself. General Evans argued excitedly. Everyone was speechless. How can a person be this thick-skinned? At his age, saying stuff like that without blushing? Meanwhile, outside the red base, Leo carried the sniper rifle, looking around. Captain, what are you looking for? Sarge Sue asked. Finding a sniping spot. Where is the highest point here? Leo asked. Highest point. Sak Su Bao Set. Keep going northeast. That's the peak. Captain, you aren't thinking of sniping from there, are you? The squad laughed. Sarge, don't tell jokes. Yeah, sniping from a peak? Even Captain Invincible Zhao would shake his head. But sending someone to observe from their works. Visibility is better. I think Cloud is suitable. He just got beat up by Nighthawk, probably has trauma. Let him hide there. Who said that? Step out. The group chattered without discipline. Leo ignored them and walked northeast toward the peak. Sarge Sue was stunned. Captain, you're really going? Didn't you say the visibility is wide? Leo retorted. Isn't a sniper supposed to find a place with a wide view? Plus, it's high up, easier for you guys to defend. Cloud and the others stood frozen. Theoretically, yes, but that theory was bullshit in practice. Sniping from there, with the wind and distance. The bullet would fly to who knows where. But Leo didn't care. He hadn't used a sniper rifle in a while. His hands were itching. He initially wanted to use high explosive skills and toss grenades, but his favorite weapons were banned. So he lost interest. Better to end it quickly. In the monitoring room, the officers were confused. Where are they going? Hayes frowned. That direction. Why are they climbing to the highest point? Nighthawk's 10 squads had already dispersed and were infiltrating. And you guys are mountain climbing? Is this a tourist attraction? General Evans fell silent. Everyone watched quietly as Leo's team climbed the mountain. The scene was bizarre. Soon, they saw Leo reach the peak. On the screen, Leo lay down casually, set up the sniper rifle, and waited. About 10 seconds later, he pulled the trigger. Blue team, Zeke foam, hard shot. Eliminated. The monitor personnel reported immediately. Pfft. Colonel Stone spat out the water he had just sipped. What did you say? Zeke hit. He shouted at the monitor personnel. Hit by whose bullet? Don't tell me it was Leo's. The personnel hesitated, then said, Colonel Stone, Leo's shot. Indeed hit Zeke's heart. Are you bullshitting me? Stone was incredulous. What's the distance? How much windage? You're telling me that shot hit Zeke? If you told me he hit a bird, I'd barely believe it. Before Stone could finish, more reports came in. Blue team, Chase Snow hit. Eliminated. Blue team, Tiger Vance hit. Eliminated. Blue team. Stone's eyes nearly popped out of his head as he stared at the big screen. Every time Leo pulled the trigger, a voice announced a blue team elimination. Hayes and General Evans were dumbfounded. Is this humanly possible? Nighthawk was still analyzing the situation and setting tactics. Leo didn't even talk, just picked up the gun and started blasting. Leo didn't speak. He just kept shooting. Not only were Stone and the others stunned, but Sarge Sue and his team, standing right there, were witnessing this absurdity firsthand. Mommy, what am I seeing? Captain. No, God, Leo. This is a god. Is this sniping? I learned sniping for nothing in my life. Stop talking. My understanding of sniping has been shattered by God Leo, who is Captain Invincible. God Leo is the true God. Quack, quack. At this moment, the team could truly only quack while watching Leo massacre the field. Meanwhile, the most confused person was Zeke Foam. He stared blankly at the mark on his chest. I was hit. Where the hell did the bullet come from? He didn't even hear the gunshot. There were no sniper points nearby. Before he could voice his confusion, he saw two teammates beside him suffer the same fate. Same confusion, same shock. Screw this. The other side is aimbotting.